from 11 to 1. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
It is cold outside, 35 degrees. It's only going to climb to 48 today, but at least the sun will be shining. We welcome you into Sports 56 Mornings on this Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. 2 weeks until that jolly old St. Nick makes his way around the world, bringing gifts to all the good boys and girls. That leaves Eli out. We welcome you into Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers, broadcasting live and in color from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Speaking of Christmas, a couple of weeks away. Not quite last-second shoppers, but we're getting close. You want to pick out something really, really nice for a loved one? Check out what they have to offer at Family Leisure. The ultimate game room and fall sale going on right now. They got all kinds of great deals. Plus, it's perfect fire pit weather. All fire pits 20 to 30% off. Spas up to $1,500 off in stock and ready for delivery. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. As I mentioned, all we're going to get to is about 48 today, but at least the sun will be shining. Then tonight, overnight lows, Wednesday into Thursday, 29 degrees, so dipping below freezing. Thursday looks like 54 for a high with mostly sunshine and a little bit of clouds. Coming up on the program today, plenty of college football talk. Man, were they chirping yesterday. From Greg Sankey to Lane Kiffin, all around the country. We'll talk about that, plus all kinds of portal news as well. We got plenty of college basketball to get into. NBA, as the Emirates NBA Cup continued last night. The Grizzlies won't play until Friday when they host Brooklyn. We got some winter meeting Major League Baseball conversation to get into. NBA, by the way, I mentioned, trade rumors galore out there right now. Jerry Palm will join us at 8:25 to talk some college football and probably some college hoops as well. DeMichael Cole on the Grizzlies at 9:05, and then Parth Upadhyay on the Memphis Tigers basketball team at 9:25. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin and listener lines at 901-360-8255. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am cold.
Yeah, it's cold. I have a nice winter jacket that the zipper's ripped. And my wife fixed it, but when I zip it up, it makes that kind of hole in the middle. So I don't know what the hell to do. I've been wearing it, but I can't close it. So I got another layer under that. But I'm not outside that long, so it's no big deal. I've already looked at the forecast for Tuesday night in Frisco, and it looks to be a little frisky, about 40 degrees. So I may need that jacket for the sideline. But that's my issues. For you folks, just bundle up when you head on out today. Let's bring in a third member of our broadcast team. Big day for Elijah Seegers today, because you'll be taking, your final exam in your collegiate career, right?
It's the grand finale.
This is it, as Kenny Loggins once said. You've never heard of Kenny Loggins probably either.
I've heard the name. Not familiar with the music, is it?
Yeah, look it up. This is it. Think about it, because it is. And then Sunday you'll have your graduation, right?
That's correct.
That's fantastic.
Is today like a hard final or easy?
It'll probably be the easiest one that I've taken so far, so got to finish strong.
What's
There
the
you go.
subject?
It is a biology exam.
Biology. Okay. What was your official major?
I'm journalism.
That's what I
major.
figured. Okay, fantastic. You might have a career in the business.
And you're taking biology classes in your final year.
Yeah,
is that
it's
your
one
minor?
of those deals where it got put off to the end somehow. So
Okay. Say that's that senior year. Normally that biology doesn't work in there, but good on you. If that's going to be the easy one.
yeah, glad it worked out that way.
You don't have any outstanding parking tickets or anything like that to make sure you get your degree, right?
Yeah, I already got all that stuff figured out. I got it out the way.
Yeah. I remember at Maryland, what? I'm not getting my diploma? Oh, I owe $200 and something worth of parking tickets? Okay. All right, let me figure out how to pay that. Back then, $200 and something was a lot of money. But I was always working throughout college, throughout high school as well. So congratulations, my friend. That's fantastic. So I don't even know if I want to talk about my bad beat last night, but maybe I will, since I always talk about this. I don't gamble a lot. I gamble frequently, but not a lot of money. and I know you get on my case for the parlays, but you could stop because you bet parlays too, and you hit them. But I also bet individuals, so I'm doing what you say to do. I had a 4-leg basketball parlay last night, and I adjusted lines accordingly. And it almost looked like I knew what the hell I was doing. So I hit on Tennessee. I hit on St. John's over Penn State. I adjusted that one, won by a half a point, or a full point maybe in that one. No, half a point in that one. And then I had Davidson over Charlotte, won by a full point there, when that was easily 10, 12-point lead, and then it came all the way down to the end. But they covered. All three of those teams covered. Then I had Houston. Adjusted line was, I had it at minus 21.5. They were playing Troy. Houston's up 28 points with 2 minutes to go. They clear the bench. Those bricklayers came in and thought they were Set Shop Buford. I don't know what they thought they were. They're clanking and they're fouling. And Troy goes to the free throw line. They make a conga line to the free throw line. They make all their free throws. And I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. They win by 20. Wah, 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 wah. I don't know if that constitutes as a bad beat, but to me it was a bad beat. And I don't get too upset normally. You win some, you lose some. Man, I was upset last night. I was counting my money on that one.
That's a tough one.
That's gambling, but that's the thing with basketball. Those big leads, man, they get dissipate in a hurry when the scrubs come in. They just hung onto the ball, dribbled it out, kept fouling.
With 20-point lines, you gotta sweat some at the end.
I know. I was sweating last night. So yesterday I saw this story. Some of you may have seen it. Some maybe you have not. But there is a guy in Phoenix. He's on Phoenix Radio, 98.7 FM in Phoenix. His name is Dan Bickley. It's the Bickley and Murata show. Pretty big market, so I'm sure a well-known guy. He comes out and he discloses his Heisman vote, which you're not supposed to do. I don't know if you're put in front of a firing squad when it happens, but it's a no-no. And then he goes off on...
I think you're never invited to the Heisman house. Banned forever.
Banned forever from the Heisman house. So he goes off on voting for Cam Skattebo, the terrific running back for Arizona State. And, he's mad he's not a finalist and this and that. So he goes on to explain that he wanted to make sure that he got a first-place vote, so he voted for him. These are the kind of guys, I don't want to say hate, it's too strong of a word, but I hate the fact that he has a Heisman vote. Whether it's a Heisman vote, whether it's a vote to get into the Hall of Fame, whether it's a vote to select the AP Top 25. Take your vote seriously, because if not, they should pull this guy's vote. Give me the damn vote. I've been in this business 40 years. Give me a Heisman vote. I know Wolo has one. He takes it seriously. I would take it seriously. That's not taking it seriously. That's giving it to a guy that you cover, basically, because you're pissed he's not a finalist, and you disclose your ballot before the actual announcement of the Heisman on Saturday. Again, everything you're not supposed to do, he did. You can vote for whoever you want, but the rationale is stupid. And the fact that, again, he discloses when you're not supposed to, that should have his vote taken away. And hopefully it will.
There's certainly, Cam Skattebo is worthy of a first-place vote.
Yeah, but the reasoning, he did it because he knew he wasn't going to get a first-place vote, so he wanted to make sure he had one. That's dumb. That's stupid. Skattebo's having a great year. It pales in comparison to Genty. If we're talking about running backs, just specifically running backs, that'd be like me having a vote and I voted for, now, not to this extreme. Skattebo is certainly worthy of getting some votes, maybe not first place votes, but being in the top 10. But it would be me saying, I cover the Tigers, so I'm just going to give Seth Hennigan a Heisman vote. Again, it's stupid. You don't do that there's no loyalty. You're a broadcaster. You're a part of the media. Respect the vote. That's not respecting the vote. And he's not even as bad as some of the others. And it's not just with the Heisman, but I've gone on and on and on about Cooperstown and having a Major League Baseball Hall of Fame vote. It bothers me. All right, moving on. College basketball last night. Some ranked teams were in action, including the newly crowned number one team in the nation, that team in orange, that team across the state in the state of Tennessee, the Tennessee Volunteers. They knock off Miami 75-62. Chaz Lanier at 22. Zakai Ziegler, 13 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, filling up the stat sheet. Rick Barnes used 7 players. That's his rotation. I don't know if there's a player out and maybe he normally goes 8. He's 7 players. That was it. And Miami has struggled. They were picked to be better than what they have shown so far on the court. But nevertheless, Tennessee in its first game as the newly crowned number one, win by 13.
Yeah, they just are so good defensively year in and year out. Really doesn't matter who's what. Now they got Zakai Ziegler, and they have had him, and that's huge to have him leading that defense on the perimeter because he is so good defensively. But they talked about it on the broadcast last night about just the numbers year in and year out, what they do defensively. In the Ken Pom rankings this year, they are number 2. Last year, they were number 3. Year before that, they were number 1. Year before that, they were number 3. I mean, every year, they are one of the 2 or 3 best defensive teams in the country. And he gets, obviously, you have to have good defensive players, but he gets those dudes to play extremely hard on the defensive end, year in and year out, game in and game out. And if you can guard like that consistently, and you got some pretty good offensive players, and he's been, they've been the master here of finding these guys from the small college ranks in the transfer portal, and those guys becoming superstars. Last year, Dalton Connect, and this year with Chaz Lanier. It's pretty amazing what he's done and what he continues to do with that program over there.
Well, to lose Dalton Connect is a big loss offensively, but Chaz Lanier has picked it up and he's run with it, and Ziegler is just a really good player. But in the end, the question will be, not defensively, will they have enough offensively when it comes down to it? Because it's got to be Final Four or bust for Tennessee. I'm not saying Rick Barnes is gone. Rick Barnes will end his career as the Tennessee coach. He'll retire when he retires. But every year, you just mentioned the numbers defensively, and really good offensive players as well that have gone on to the NBA. But somehow they fall short. So there'll be pressure as the season progresses. And, of course, every game in the SEC is a war. Speaking of the SEC, Arkansas with John Calipari, off to a okay start, not a great start. Beat number 14 Michigan yesterday, 89-87. Michigan was really hot there in the first half, opened up a double-digit lead. Arkansas got hot to open up the second half, ended up winning. Wagner with one of his better games. But this was Boogie Fland with his 20. They got a really good score in Boogie Fland, a guy who could win games down the stretch, and they did. They leaned on him. It was also the Florida Atlantic Bowl, as you had Vlad Golden for the Michigan Wolverines and Johnell Davis for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Davis really struggling so far this year after coming over from FAU to Arkansas. Just 6 points. Golden had 17 for Michigan, but Arkansas gets a nice win.
Yeah, very nice win for them. And, it's a much improved and a good Michigan team, obviously ranked number 14 in the country, but they got the 2 7-footers up front. that are a load to handle. And Arkansas, I said they've been okay, but not great to this point. But that's still a very talented team. Fland is fantastic, and obviously they've got some other young guys like Billy Richmond III coming in there, and then you've got some of the experienced guys as well. But very nice win for them to go into the Garden and get the win.
Almami Chiro's son is really good. Mm-hmm. He's played really well.
And he was playing under the weather last night, but still had 13 points in that game.
Is Billy Richmond, is the son getting any playing time?
He gets a little bit, not much, but he's the games I've watched. Like last night, he barely got in at all. But I've seen other games where he's actually gotten some minutes, but he's not getting a ton. No.
All right, from college basketball to college football, specifically the SEC, the all SEC teams were announced yesterday, and the Ole Miss Rebels had a nice showing. They have the second most players on the three teams combined. This is a first, second, and third team. Your first team quarterback, Jackson Dart. Your second team quarterback, Quinn Ewers. No surprise with either one. Your third team quarterback was Lenora Sellers. What a year he had for South Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, the part that's crazy about that is the idea if somebody told somebody the preseason Carson Beck would not be, and you could even throw in Jalen Milroe, but Beck especially, the idea that Carson Beck would not be all SEC first, second, or third team at the end of the year. But yet, Georgia would be in the playoff.
Right.
And the SEC champion. Like, people would, wait a second, hold on. This does not compute. Georgia's going to win the SEC championship, but Carson Beck is not even top three teams all SEC. That doesn't make sense.
No, you're absolutely right. But you could even go another step further. Certainly, Carson Beck. He would be the number one guy even over Ewers and Dart coming into the season, you would think, from the SEC. But on the peripheral, Brady Cook, who ended up, unfortunately, being hurt a lot during the year. That's another guy who could have easily, if he stayed healthy, been an all-SEC selection. You mentioned Jalen Milroe, who was as up and down as anybody, that type of yo-yo season. I thought for a while there, Nussmeier, who was in that groove for LSU, could be that type of player. That never materialized. Quinn Ewers, very consistent, but the turnovers have really hurt him of late. Dart, just terrific. Had a terrific year. And Sellers, coming on like gangbusters. Nobody saw that one coming. Ole Miss had 4 first-teamers. And like I said, the second most of all teams as far as producing all SEC performers. First team, second team, third team combined. Dylan Sampson and Cooper Mays made it from Tennessee on the first team. Of course, Tennessee, a playoff team. Anything that surprised you? Trey Harris was third team, but Trey Harris was hurt a lot for Ole Miss.
Yeah, if he would have stayed healthy, he would have been a first-team guy.
Luther Burden was first team, and he, I think, missed a couple of games, but still was first team. That was the... I think that was the preseason selections, if I'm not mistaken, but that's who I thought would be, in the end, it would be Trey Harris and Luther Burden as the 2 wide receivers.
The Carson Beck was the first-team preseason selection.
Right. Had to have been.
And Milroe was third-team preseason with Ewers in there as the second-team selection. Again, if you would have told somebody that he wasn't going to make all SEC, they would have assumed that Carson Beck missed, oh man, that's unfortunate. He got injured and missed the season, or missed most of the season. And again, they'd be saying, well, no, but Georgia won the SEC. What the hell's going on?
No, and that's a good point. You could now there's a million players out there, so it's not like I know every single player and what the expectations were. But you certainly can throw Carson Beck up there as one of the most disappointing players of the season. Right? With the expectations and then the result. Not the team result, but him.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, there were people that thought that he would be, make himself maybe even the first overall selection of the NFL draft this year.
Right.
And it just, that stretch in the middle where he was turning the ball over repeatedly, Just that certainly never was the case. And again, not even a third team all SEC selection at the end of the year is, nobody would have possibly predicted that.
Speaking of SEC quarterbacks, Blake Shapen has announced that he will return to Mississippi State. He missed some action, as did mostly all quarterbacks. So that means Michael Van Buren, who took over when Shapen was out, had to make a decision, and his decision was he's going to enter the transfer portal. He was a true freshman or a redshirt freshman?
I believe he was a true freshman. I'm not sure.
I think that's right. So Van Buren into the portal, Shapen coming back for Jeff Lebby's team. Jackson Arnold, who had announced last week that he was entering the portal, the Oklahoma quarterback, according to reports, is visiting Auburn this week. There was also a report that Mississippi State reached out to him, but I'm wondering if that's the case. If Shapen's coming back, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you'd love to have a couple of really good quarterbacks, or at least solid quarterbacks, but I don't know why Arnold would go there. So I don't know if that's true. But Auburn this week is one report that's out there for Jackson Arnold. Also, Jacob Zeno to Texas A&M. If that name sounds familiar, Zeno was the UAB quarterback, but got hurt this year, didn't play in the Memphis game, played in the Memphis game last year. And Zeno, if I'm not mistaken, is in his 6th season. So I don't know if he's penciled in as he'll be the A&M starter.
Marcel Reed, I'm assuming, will be the starter next year.
Oh, that's right, Marcel Reed. He's not going anywhere. So Zeno signs as a backup. Interesting. I mean, he's a pretty solid quarterback who could play at a lot of different places, maybe not all Power 5 or Power 4, certainly Group of 5. Interesting. Yeah, I forgot about Reed. So anyway, that came down yesterday. Zeno has committed to Texas A&M. All right, when we return, interesting comments made yesterday by Greg Sankey. Not a big surprise. Interesting comments made by Lane Kiffin. Certainly not a surprise. And others that have been very vocal about everything from the state of college football to simply the calendar of what occurs in a 12-month cycle in college football. We'll talk about that when we return. We'll open up the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines to you at 901-360-8255. A little bit later on in the show, we will talk about the NBA action from last night's Emirates NBA Cup and the NBA rumor mill, the trade rumor mill, starting to really swirl. We'll get into that as well on the program. Do want to tell you, folks, about Shoot 360 Memphis, a revolutionary basketball training facility with 2 locations in Memphis. Well, technically, one in Collierville and one in Cordova. So one in Memphis, Cordova, one in Collierville. They combine cutting-edge technology with gamification, providing instant objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. Some of the best in the business with years and years of knowledge and that ability to help really any level basketball player. If you're a beginner, if you are a teenager that's learning and trying to get better, if you're an adult that loves playing the game, still plays competitively, you want to just have fun, this is the place for you. And even for little kids, the gamification part, really fun, learning how to start passing the ball, bounce passing, chest passing, things of that nature, you learn at Shoot 360 Memphis. They got the beautiful new Cordova location, 50,000 square foot facility. There is nothing like it in the area. They do have Shoot 360s around the country. And again, the technology combined with the gamification, the feedback, the analytics, and the one-on-one coaching, you cannot beat it. And you can't beat monthly memberships. That's what they offer now. So you're not bogged down with a long-term deal. It makes sense. You're looking for that late Christmas present. You got a basketball playing member of your family. I'm sure you have several. Get them a month membership. Start them out at Shoot 360 Memphis. They're going to turn around. I guarantee they're going to say, I love it. Can we do it for more? You can. For another month or sign up for longer. It's up to you. Go online to Shoot 360 Memphis. But better yet, give them a call. Ask for Steve or any of the great folks and tell them you want a tour of the facility. They can do that for you. Call them in Cordova at 901-779-3176. Call them in Collierville at 901-316-5500. This is great for coaches of teams out there as well to bring your teams over to the facility. It's Shoot 360 Memphis. Again, monthly memberships available. Shoot 360 Memphis. The future of basketball training is here. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You're going to recommend that everyone get their holiday meal from Central Barbecue.
No, although it's a great idea, get everybody some fantastic Central Barbecue and not have to do any of the work, but that is not what this spot is about.
It's not?
No, this is about another way Central Barbecue can save you time and trouble.
Ah, Central Barbecue gift cards.
That's right. You don't have to fight the holiday gift shoppers when you can just go online and order up a handful of Central Barbecue gift cards.
No one has ever turned up their nose at getting the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
In the world for free.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert creative lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Grizz Nation, join John, Jaron, Dez, and your Memphis Grizzlies this Friday at 7 p.m. when your Grizzlies host the Brooklyn Nets. Get hyped, get ready for a star-studded show and secure your tickets today at Grizzlies.com. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. We have seen a couple of accidents already out here. It's trying to build already around the airport this morning, up and down. Certain sections of Tullahoma Holmes Road, it's gotten busier. So has that traffic on 51 southbound, working your way out of Millington down through Woodstock. It's picked up also over here on 385 Bill Morris Parkway at Riverdale. Hey, shop now and save during this holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 Morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:28 the time. Hour one here on Sports 56 Morning. So yesterday, Lane Kiffin, the outspoken Ole Miss Rebels football coach, and he's right about this. He's right about a lot of the things he says crammed college calendar is a dumb system. He said the season's not over yet, and there's a free agency window open, the portal. The portal before the bowls is a flaw of a dumb system. He's not mincing words there.
No, he's not, and he normally doesn't. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously the whole calendar for college football is screwed up. I don't know what the best solutions are and all the answers, because with the portal especially, like if you don't open up the portal window till whenever, I don't know, after all the bowls are complete, that doesn't mean that a kid who knows he's going to be going into the portal anyway doesn't opt out of his bowl game. And I mean, just because he can't officially enter the portal doesn't mean he's going to now play in the bowl game and stay with that team until the portal window opens. So I don't know what the answers are or any of that stuff. Certainly, I'm not in a position to make any of those decisions. But yes, I mean, there is a lot of stuff in this year with the early signing period happening during the week of the conference championship games. Seems very bizarre in that one. The whole portal system is very bizarre. But again, I just don't know for sure what the answers would be.
Yeah, but what bothers me the most is supposed intelligent people get together and they decide on these rules and regulations, and then they're enacted, and then you play the season, and everybody questions everything that's happening. I'll get to more of that in a second with the playoff. Just like the seedings, right, that we'll talk about in the playoffs, not reseeding, having Oregon basically punished for being number one. These are things that these so-called intelligent people come up with. And yet, tinkering with the system is fine. But having to make overhauls and changes often to the system means you didn't really think it through to begin with. You didn't think it through. The calendar is just stupid. I mean, we've talked to Coach Silverfield. He'll be on the show, by the way, tomorrow at 8:05. We've talked to other coaches about it, active and retired.
Well, they certainly, as Ryan Silverfield's talked about, they don't ask the coaches. I don't think they really care.
Right, that's true.
What the coaches have to say. But again,
maybe they should.
I don't think there is any perfect answer to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when they decided there was going to be an early signing period. I don't know who decided that or why they decided. I'm sure there was a good reason to put it in. But then when you added in the portal, it made it, now you got both of these things going on at the same time. It's just from the coach's perspective, yeah, again, when you're for those who are preparing for a conference championship game and yet you've got signing day going on that week, then you turn around and you've got kids going into the portal as you're trying to prepare for a bowl game and don't know for sure who you're going to have. Like there, from a coach's perspective, I can imagine the headaches and issues and all of that stuff. Again, I don't know and I don't know that anybody has a perfect solution for this.
Then you had Greg Sankey speaking for the first time since the selection announcement on Sunday. And follow Ross Dellinger if you're a college football fan. He's up on things, has some interesting stories. But he says in his first comments since Sunday, Greg Sankey tells Yahoo Sports of the committee, quote, "I need to have a much better understanding with their decision-making than I have right now." He talked about how the system was set up for 5 power conferences and not 4 power conferences. Dellinger would go on to say he expects at least a conversation of the reimagination of conference championship weekend and questions whether or not the college football format will change again after the consolidation of power leagues. That's a lot to digest right there. There's a lot of stuff. But again, you've put together some system that was tailor-made for 5 conferences of power, and now it's all out of whack because there's 4, and he needs an explanation? Aren't these guys all the power brokers of college football? That they would understand going into the season or going into the final couple of years of the contract. Remember, there's one more year, although changes can be made, and then the new contract will start in 2026. But, here's Sankey, again, one of the most intelligent people in the business, and he's questioning the committee. He's questioning. No, he's not saying Alabama should have gotten in and SMU should not have, even though he believes that.
Well, that's in the end what he's saying.
Right, but
the whole, the 4 or 5, all it is one less automatic team in.
Right.
Which would have actually been one less at-large spot. So even there was no chance of Alabama getting in under that. So it's some of these guys mainly from the SEC, just want to complain because they're upset that they didn't get 4 teams in.
Yeah.
So they're not happy with the system because 4 teams from the SEC didn't get in, and so they want to complain about anything they can possibly complain about.
It's just Sankey says it so eloquently that he kind of skirts around it, saying the direct meaning of what his whole soliloquy was about, that Alabama should have gotten in, that the SEC should get the benefit of the doubt, which is what I always thought. Not that they should, but I thought that they would. And now that they haven't, it makes me really wonder that...
You'll finally quit saying that?
No, I still think no. But that we are going to be headed towards an eventual breakaway. I think it's not crazy to think that still not something that could happen, because I think it very much could. Now, then it comes back to these strange proposals that we talked about during the football season. Len Perna was back in the news yesterday. He was on a panel, according to Ross Dellinger, in Las Vegas, discussing his proposed new model for college football. That's the one with the smash capital, right? The $10 billion or whatever it was, $6-7 billion.
Yes, I believe he is part of that.
Yes. He said...
That's Operation Rudy.
He said this new proposal, this new model, it needs to be enacted basically because the industry is 1,000,000% broken. College football is 1,000,000% broken. He said it's probably fine for 5 to 10 schools. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's broken. There needs to be some holes that are filled. But I disagree. I don't think it's fine for 5 to 10 schools. I think there's more schools. If we're talking about making the playoffs, winning a championship, I think there are now more teams that it could happen to. I mean, look at what we have this year. SMU is in. Boise State is in. Clemson got in by taking care of business in their conference championship game. They got in because Miami lost to Syracuse. There are more teams, I think, that are capable of being in the picture. As far as a natty, every year before the 12-team playoff system, the 4-team playoff system, the BCS, what did we say? It was always, there was 5 teams that could win it, 5-6 teams that could win it. Alabama, Ohio State. Now you look at it and you go, who's going to win it this year? Yeah, Oregon's undefeated, but I don't think everybody and their mom's going to just automatically throw money down on Oregon. Would you be surprised if somehow Georgia figured it out even without Beck? Would you be shocked if Texas wins it or Ohio State gets going? Or none of these teams. I wouldn't even be stunned if Boise made a run. So I don't know about it's probably fine for 5 to 10 schools. If he's talking about just financially, I still think it's more than that. It's not a ton more than that, especially when we go to player revenue sharing. And that's a whole other story. But right now, as far as having something like this, when it's become basically a professional sport, I don't know if it's that ludicrous to inject $7, $8, $9 billion into the system.
I somewhat understand, and he's trying to sell something here, but to say college football is 1,000,000% broken is just, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
They just had, whatever, I don't remember what the number was, 17 million people
ratings, right,
watching the SEC championship game.
Right.
There are, every one of these Power 4 schools is cashing a massive check. Obviously the Big Ten and SEC more than others, but there's millions upon millions of dollars going to all of these Power 4 schools. There's been constant conversation about the playoff, about everything else. When the playoff games happen, as upset as Greg Sankey or anybody else can be, there's going to be millions upon millions of people watching these games. ESPN loves the product. Fox loves the product. Like, I don't know to say it's good for 5 or 6 schools. No, because there's a bunch of schools cashing massive, massive checks right now. They're not. To say, yeah, again, in the perfect world, there would be some changes, and we would love to see it. And there are coaches and there's people around. But to say the thing's broken, no, it's not. That's why it's not changing, because it's not broken. Like the only thing that's changing is they're just finding ways. Like, oh, wait, if we add a few more teams, we can make more money. That's fine. Then we'll add a couple more. And that's why it'll probably go to 14 or 16, because they'll go, oh, you guys are willing to pay us more money for this product. Great. Let's do that then. So there's, if it was 1,000,000% broken, then these people would be finding ways to fix that. They don't need to fix anything right now because money is flowing everywhere in college football.
Do you know what the ratings were for the other championship games? Because there's still people that believe, while this product needs some fixing, and it does, everybody would admit to that, it's still a very solid product, evident by what happened with the SEC ratings, television ratings. But that's the SEC. Most people believe that college football is the Southeast, the Midwest, and that's it. Now, I don't know what the numbers were for, now you have the integrated Big Ten, where Oregon, and I'm not sure what the love affair is with Oregon. I assume it's pretty good, but the love affair now becomes even more because they're, like I said, integrated with the traditional Big Ten powers being a part of that conference now. The Ohio States, the Penn States, the Michigans, which are with those Southeastern Conference teams in the love affair that sports fans have with them. For the most part, though, in other places, it's not like it is in the Southeastern Conference. But now you have Texas and Oklahoma, and Texas and Oklahoma has always gotten support. The old Southwest Conference certainly did. But now, part of the SEC, it's even more. Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC, right? It was always like, USC, UCLA, where are they on the sports page in Los Angeles? Were they page 5 with all the things going on? Well, now they're part of the Big Ten. So they've upped their game too. But I'm just curious how good those numbers were in the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12 championship games compared to the SEC, because it's not a surprise with the SEC.
The ACC, I guess this is average 6 million viewers. The Big 12, just under 7 million viewers. This does not have the...
Is that? I guess
Big
that's
10.
Respectable, right? You said what? The SEC was what? 16?
SEC was 16.
Wow. Again, it's like almost 3 times as much. That's my point. But 6 or 7 doesn't sound bad to me at all.
Well, the ACC, you had the Big 10 going on at the same time.
Yeah, there was some that overlapped.
Yeah, the night window where the ACC was, you had the Big 10, right, going on at the same time?
I think so.
Because the SEC is all by itself. Big 12 had the early window mainly by itself. I think there was one of the small conferences going on at the same time. I think, if I remember correctly, that was on at the 11 o'clock in that 11 o'clock window.
It might have been
as well.
the Sun Belt.
Let me see. I don't see the Big 10 one numbers as far as that is concerned. But
I would imagine it was pretty good. Penn State's going to have a really good national following. It's not Ohio State, but it's close.
Mountain West was 3 million.
Again, respectable. What was the American?
This doesn't have the American in it.
All right, don't sweat it. Maybe get it for the next segment. But yeah, that's my point. Is it's a really good product, but it could be a better product if they fix things like the calendar. Because Lane Kiffin's absolutely right. You want everything to get its just rewards. You want the publicity to be shared. In other words, you don't want recruiting and all those big announcements from those high school kids, which was always a big thing, to kind of be swept under the rug because teams are jockeying to get into their conference championship game. They're playing championship games. They're trying to make the playoffs. And then there's portal news going on, coaches being fired midseason now, a lot more than years past. And all that's going on while the kids are announcing. And used to be you had that big announcement in February and everybody knew the season was over. It was before spring football started. Now you got a portal, as Lane said. He called it free agency window, which he's right, opening up as teams aren't even finished their seasons. It has, in my opinion, hurt the bowl system. It's lessened the importance of the bowls that aren't associated with the playoffs. And that's a shame because nothing went with Christmas and the Christmas holiday to me growing up and into my adulthood than bowl games and the holidays. You know, now you have the NBA on Christmas Day and you have the NFL playoffs. Obviously, the NFL's the behemoth in the room. But bowl games and the holidays, so important to many people. Still very important to me. I don't know if it's as important as it used to be. All right.
Again, to ESPN, which is the only one that really matters, they're important to them because
they own a bunch of
they're
them.
Paying a bunch of money for them,
right?
And that's and so they're happy because all that really matters: are they willing to pay for them,
right?
And are people watching them? Enough people watching them to make them pay for them?
Well, our sponsors spending their money to be on that program, on that game. That's the most important thing.
Well, yeah, again, that's the people. If enough people are watching to make ESPN happy enough to pay the money, then nothing else matters.
Well, I'm glad we do things in life just to benefit ESPN. We want to make sure ESPN's happy. And that's why people have a problem with ESPN.
If ESPN's happy, then that means the schools are happy because ESPN's paying the conferences the boatloads of money that all these schools are cashing the checks from. So it's not about and as long as ESPN is satisfied enough to keep paying that money, there's no reason, again, for anybody to really care about completely altering the system because they're all cashing massive checks out of it. Why, if you're making a bunch of money, you don't go, oh my God, we got to change all these things. This is crazy. Did you see the billions of dollars that came in this year? We got to get rid of this.
Right, but then you get to the point when you're a Greg Sankey type person, right? A powerful person in the game of college football that you go, all right, I got tons of money and we can have more money rolling in, but I got 3 teams into the playoff. I expect to have 4 or even 5. So we got to do something about that. Now it's about pride. The Big Ten got 4. We only got 3. You can only make so much money, right? Money's falling out of their pockets. And they'll make more in the future, I would guarantee, with this new contract coming up. But now you're talking about pride and how many teams you're going to get into the playoff and a system that was built for 5 power conferences, not 4. So the system, I need an explanation. I need a better understanding, is what he said.
The Big Ten's current TV deal is for over $8 billion over 7 years. The SEC's is for $7 billion over 10 years. The college football playoff, which is about to expire, so they're going to get the new one, was a $7 billion deal over 12 years. You're telling me those people are motivated to change things?
No, to tweak the system, though, to fix things a little bit, but not to overhaul the system. That's why you won't have some type of system that would be what Lou wants. The what do you call it again? The Randy? What is it?
The Rudy.
The Rudy.
Again, but that's my point. Like to try to say it's 1,000,000% broken, the people who matter would be like, well, no. Again, these two, it's a combined between the SEC and Big Ten and contracts that have just been signed over the last couple of years with $15, $16 billion. So
that's a ludicrous statement.
They're like, oh man, this is really broken.
Yeah, and that's why I said that. I mean, and then he says 5 to 10 teams, which I think is ridiculous too.
Yeah, you got to motivate the people though. The people who would be the ones that need to change it aren't motivated to change it because there's nothing. They're fine. They're making tons and tons of money. Folks, make it a magical Christmas this year with the help of Genesis Diamonds. If you're thinking jewelry of any kind for anybody on that gift list, go see the folks at Genesis. They'll take care of you with a great selection. All kinds of different jewelry, all different price ranges for whatever budget you might have. They've got something for you. And, of course, it's great pricing so you can get great value. And also right now, they make it even more affordable because you can get 5 years, 0 interest financing on anything in the store at Genesis Diamonds. So whether it be a beautiful engagement ring or a pair of earrings or a necklace, whatever it might be, folks at Genesis Diamonds will be sure to have something that they are going to love. And again, you can get 5 years, 0 interest financing. Go to GenesisDiamonds.com to get all the details on the financing, get holiday store hours and more. And just go see them in person at Genesis Diamonds, located on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Briggs Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Briggs Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or BriggsPowderCoating.com.
There's no gift that's more beautiful, more versatile, and more meaningful than a piece of jewelry. And there's no great place to shop this holiday season than Genesis Diamonds. Most impressive selection of can't-miss gifts. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands. Taste in every price range. From diamond classics to amazing designer fashion. Rolex watches has never been better. And just for December, we're offering 5 years, 0 interest financing on any holiday purchase. With a special offer, everything's affordable. Just pick any item, divide the price by 60, and that's your payment. So come to Genesis Diamonds. Our experts help you choose the perfect headliner gift present. Spread your payments over 5 years. Get holiday store hours, directions, and finance details at GenesisDiamonds.com. Happy holidays from Genesis Diamonds.
The holidays are near, and Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators is here to make this season extra cozy and cheerful. For the first 50 customers who purchase a new Carrier system, tankless water heater, or a whole home generator, we have a special gift for you. Choose from a $500 gift card or 60 months no interest financing. And don't forget about Choate's Refer a Friend referral program, where you can earn up to $500. Simply refer a friend to use our services, and if they become a customer, you could earn up to a $500 Visa gift card. But hurry, this festive offer will only last through December 20th. Visit ChoatesHVAC.com or call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. And turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family this holiday season.
When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm. So take on the toughest jobs with the 2025 Honda Pioneer Silverado. This rugged side-by-side looks powered in any party with reliable torque for towing and smooth shifting for trails. And you can choose from 3 trims: standard, deluxe, and the Trim Timber First Edition. Ultimate Travel's Adventures is the 2025 Honda Pioneer Silverado today at Casino Honda, 5637 Mill Road.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
We'll talk some NBA to open up hour number 2, including games from last night in the Emirates NBA Cup and the trade rumors that are out there right now. It's already begun in the NBA. But we got some baseball news yesterday. The Yankees, who were unable to retain Juan Soto, who signed that massive contract with the Mets. They do land left-handed pitcher Max Fried $218 million for 8 years. That's a record for left-handers.
Yeah, they got a lot of money to spend. Now they just they freed up some money in the budget. When somebody won't take your $760 million, you go elsewhere, shop in a different aisle.
Did you hear what may have been the difference between the Mets offer and the Yankees offer? The Yankees were offering, according to a report, basically the same amount of money, but it came down to a suite. Is that even possible?
I didn't see that. I mean, in the end, the Yankees was a little bit less, but it was also over 2 more years. So it was the per year was a bit less.
Yeah, it had to be that. But there was a story that said that he wanted a suite, and the Yankees said no, and the Mets said yes. It couldn't be that. That was the determining factor, could it? I mean, something like that. Because if I'm the Yankees, I'm going to lose out on Juan Soto because of that. Give him a suite, for goodness sakes. You're making money hand over fist.
Well, it's the way it is, but it is funny that the guy that you're paying $51 million a year
wants a free
you
suite.
Can't just pay you for the suite.
Exactly. What was the number they said per game, what he'll make? Did you see that number? Oh, man.
Well, divine $51 million by 162,
yeah,
which he won't play 162.
Yeah, let me do that off the top of my head. It's a lot. Let's just say it's a lot of money. Nolan Arenado, still a Cardinal. But the Cardinals, John Mozeliak has come out, Mozeliak in his final year in 2025, saying that, yes, they are looking to deal him. And Arenado says he'll be willing to move to first base to facilitate a trade. Salary dump, basically. But Arenado, I would imagine, still has some productive years left in his body. So somebody be picking up an all-star type player. Just what kind of a deal can you make? Who's willing to partner with you, and what can you get in return? From the world of golf, the men's professional golf situation may be taking a small step towards reunification. According to a report in Bloomberg on Tuesday, so today, or was it today? Wednesday? Yesterday, the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, PIF, is nearing a deal to purchase a minority stake in PGA Tour Enterprises. The stake would be 6% in the PGA Tour's newly established commercial arm, purchased at a valuation of $12 billion. So I don't know if that would mean now they could set up some sort of framework agreement and go forward. I can't imagine it will affect 2025 at all. The schedule's out. The 2 or the 3 tours, the DP World Tour as well, along with LIV and the PGA Tour, have their schedules getting ready to start. PGA Tour just wrapped up 2024 with Tiger's event won by Scottie Scheffler. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it'd be nice. What it means, I don't know what that would entail and when that might affect things. I have no idea, but it would be nice if they could get everything figured out.
I know what else would be nice. Brand new All-Star Chevrolet from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch for Christmas with that big bow. You see them in the commercials all the time. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Walk out of your house and look what Santa left you. Nice, beautiful automobile, whether it's a Silverado or a Blazer or a Suburban. Nothing says holiday fun like driving home in a new All-Star Chevy. And it's the Red Tag event in Olive Branch. They could get you some big customer cash or financing as low as 0%. So together, let's drive into Christmas and the new year in a new All-Star Chevrolet. Some will have special financing, no payments until spring, because your good credit deserves it. Olive Branch is where all the new Silverados are, those beautiful Tahoes. New 24s still in stock, and the 25s are in as well. If you are in law enforcement, first responder, healthcare worker, military, you're a teacher or a recent graduate, you get a $500 bonus. And every late model pre-owned you're looking for is all in one place at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. From Silverados to Jeeps to Toyotas to Lexus, Ram trucks, even Camaros. They're all there at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. If you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch today. Get the most money back for it. So don't miss the final holiday Red Tag sale. It's going on now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Drew and everyone at All-Star Chevrolet wishes you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a happy new year. Come see them at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch or check out all these great vehicles online at allstarautogroup.com. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's gifts and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And pick up Elwood's at 4040 Boston Crossing in Northern. Get the best of Memphis anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Whitman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business. It's Wonderful Razorbacks and Texas Tech Red Raiders and this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Plus, they will motivate your Phoenix
Good morning. Still running slow over here as they clean up from an earlier crash. 240 westbound, just past Mill Branch. Again, be aware of this slowdown over here. We actually thought it'd be out of here by now. It's loading up pretty good with some volume on 40 westbound between Winton Road, Sycamore View Road. All that traffic still coming in right now from Fayette County into Shelby County on 40 westbound. Hey, shop now and save during the holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:04 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings on this Hump Day edition, the Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 edition to be exact, of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. The ultimate game room and fall sale going on right now, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40, just in time for Christmas, 2 weeks from today. For goodness sakes, it's just about here. Currently 36 degrees. It will get up to 49 today. Plenty of sunshine. Your overnight low Wednesday into Thursday morning, 29 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see mostly sunshine and a little bit of clouds. Coming up later on in the hour, Jerry Palm will join us from CBS Sports. And then hour 3, we're talking Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. And at 9:25, we'll talk Memphis Tigers basketball with Parth Upadhyay from the Daily Memphian. You could always hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. All right, so last night, only a couple of games in the NBA. The Emirates NBA Cup quarterfinals. We saw the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Orlando Magic 114-109. The Magic were playing without Paolo Banchero and, was it Franz Wagner?
Mm-hmm.
And yet they gave him a really good game. Giannis Antetokounmpo with 37. Dame Lillard got hot late. He ends up with 28, so the two stars combined for 65, and the Bucks move on.
Yeah, Lillard's been really, really good here recently, which has led the Bucks to be really, really good here recently. And they are the only team that will be a repeat team in Las Vegas for the Final Four, as they were there last year, but lost in the semifinals. They'll try and make it further this year, but none of the other teams from last year have a chance, are still alive in the thing, so they'll be the only returning team. But Antetokounmpo and Lillard playing well together, and all of the jokes that were being made about the Bucks early in the season no longer being made because they're playing very well.
Also advancing to Vegas with a win last night in the quarters, the Oklahoma City Thunder. You can argue they're the best team right now in the NBA. They beat the Mavericks 118-104.
Yeah, SGA was terrific, 39 points for him. Luka with 16 and 5.
Yeah, he was held to 2 points, I believe, in the first half. I think he had 2 points at the half.
Not your normal Luka game, that's for sure. Going to be tough for Dallas to win if Luka's getting him 16 points and 5 assists. That's a lot to ask for the rest of that team with him putting up those numbers, especially if SGA is going to put up 39 on the other side. Oklahoma City, they are certainly, you can make the easy argument right now they're the best team in the West. You could possibly make an argument they're the best team in the NBA.
And again, this is without Chet Holmgren. The acquisition of Hartenstein, and really Alex Caruso, another move that was made that has propelled this team to go along when you have a star like SGA, but there's talent up and down that roster. They're deep. They have 17 Jalen Williams on that team. Pick your one, pick your poison. I love Isaiah Joe. He comes in, he seems like he hits 3 threes every game. Just a well-rounded team, well-coached team.
The Athletic did a poll of NBA executives, 40 NBA executives, asking them who the top front offices or the top front office is in the NBA. And they voted first through fifth place, basically. And they did a point system of off of that. OKC was the easy winner for the top front office. They had 354 points in the polling. They got 29 of the 40 first place votes and 9 second place votes. So 38 of the 40 had OKC either first or second on their ballot, which is no surprise. Sam Presti and what he's done there for a long, long time now. Boston was number 2 on the list. 9 first place votes, 19 second place votes for Boston. And, of course, Brad Stevens leading that front office now after leaving the coaching chair. Miami was third, 114 points, got 7 first place votes, 10 third place votes. Number 4
Pat
was
Riley's still doing the thing, right?
Yep. Number 4 was the Memphis Grizzlies. 1 first place vote, 1 second place vote, got 64 points overall. So the Grizzlies, according to, again, NBA executives, these are the people, again, around the NBA, that the people in these positions have the Grizzlies as the 4th best front office in the league, behind OKC, Boston, and Miami. Following behind the Grizzlies was Minnesota, New York, Orlando, Cleveland, Golden State, and then San Antonio rounding out the top 10. But some pretty high praise for the Grizzlies front office with the job they have done here. Obviously, most of it through the draft, but people recognize the job they are doing around the NBA.
Deserving of that lofty spot on the list, because you can't bypass what they have been able to do, especially with second-round picks, with guys that were picked late in the first round, or guys that were brought in on two-way deals and converted to standard NBA contracts. Okay, we could still hold out on whether or not the Marcus Smart trade ends up being a really good trade or not. They missed out on Zaire. He was the 10th pick overall. Roddy was, 19? They missed on some. But to be able to hit as often as they have with late first-rounders and second-rounders and free agents, it's unbelievable. Kleiman and the rest of that staff, Tayshaun Prince, all those guys and gals, everybody involved, deserves to be applauded. No question about it. There was no question Sam Presti and his guys and gals were going to be number one. But I am not shocked whatsoever that Memphis is top 5. They deserve to be in that position.
Well, the thing is, it's, as everybody knows, it is extremely difficult to, you're not going to be, you can't go sign free agents. You're not getting the big names to come play here. So you have to build through the draft. And the downfall of the previous regime with Chris Wallace was they were just, quite frankly, terrible at drafting. That's just, they swung and missed constantly in the draft. You cannot afford to swing and miss in the draft when you're in a market like Memphis. And this regime has been awesome in drafting generally. Basically the entire roster was drafted by them. There's a few little, other trades and things like that, some pieces, but for the most part, this roster has been put together through the draft. And then once you draft those guys, because of the way the league is and the way the salary cap and everything else works, because you can pay them more money than others, then you have to retain them. And they've been able to do that because they could give these max contracts out that are more than anybody else. So they've been able to retain those guys that they've drafted and put that core together. So while not going into the aprons and the tax and paying tax, because they're not going to be a tax-paying team. So they were able to avoid that while structuring a team that's as deep as anybody. And then you throw in, and I know this has nothing to do with management, but player development from that coaching staff is arguably second to none. So you combine that, and you have what you have. And it was unfortunate that last year they were derailed by the basketball gods in crippling them with injuries. And they battled injuries this year. But if they can be healthy for a postseason run, it could be an amazing story. But you got your fingers crossed because we've seen what's happened in the past when it comes to the postseason. But, yeah, where they are on that list, Eli, they belong. Well, the whole thing of being able to stay giving guys max deals but still maintaining a reasonable salary where you don't go out of where you should be paying taxes and everything else here in Memphis, which you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
That requires some of the hits with second-round picks and other guys who don't make much money. And so that bottom end of the roster is extremely cheap, but yet is contributing, whereas the top end of the roster is really expensive. So it ends up being that's the way you're going to have to do it. And with what they've done with second-round picks, a guy like Jalen Wells, to be able to have a starter making that little money right now, like in the NBA. That's pretty crazy. And so, especially on a good team, to have a starter who makes that little money is crazy. But that's if you want to be able to retain Ja and Desmond and Jaren and all these guys. And now Jaren's deal is a great deal right now. That is a very team-friendly deal. Now, once they have to give him a new contract, then it gets even more difficult to manage all of this stuff. But when you can get the Jay Huffs and the Jalen Wells and the Scottie Pippen Juniors and lock these guys up for 3-4 years at a really cheap price and still get contributions from them, that's how you're able to do it. And they've been great at doing that, and they're going to have to continue to be great at doing that. It won't be easy, but that's what they're going to have to try and continue to do. But yeah, they've done a masterful job, quite frankly, of building through the draft with the way they have done it, and then tinkering on the edges with other stuff.
Yeah, I realize John Morant fell into their laps. I understand that, but they still went out and made the moves that they did to surround him. And that's how they've built this team into being one of the better teams in the NBA. Tonight, in the Emirates NBA Cup quarters, you got the Hawks and the Knicks in New York. You got the Warriors and the Rockets in Houston. So we'll see who advances to Las Vegas to meet up with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, trades. We talked a lot about this yesterday, and then all of a sudden I'm reading story after story from the national writers and beat writers for teams about who may be available. And here we are on December 11th. We're still a couple of months away from the trade deadline, but the talk has already started to really step up. And yesterday was Cameron Johnson, who you talked about and have talked about many times. His name came up prominently on the World Wide Web as a player that there is significant interest in from, I don't even want to say several, let's say lots of teams, but the Grizzlies were mentioned as one of them. So the Nets, we know the Nets play hardball. If they are willing to trade him, and I would imagine that they're willing to trade anybody on that roster, it's going to take a pretty penny to get Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's going to be, it's no secret, he's probably going to be the most coveted available player. You're going to dump home on a guy who is shooting like 43% from three-point range. I mean, those are very valuable people around the NBA when you shoot like that. He's got a couple more years left on his deal, but it's not a crazy deal. It's around $20 million per year. So it's, he is, I mean, again, and for the Grizzlies, obviously, I think he is a perfect fit for the Grizzlies, and I think can make the Grizzlies the best team in the Western Conference. But there's going to be every other contender. There's nobody in the NBA thinks, we got enough shooting. We're good. We don't need a 43% 3-point shooter. We're just fine where we are. Everybody wants to add shooting, and a guy like that makes only $20 million a year, he's going to be everybody. For the Grizzlies,
the Nets are going to make you overpay, though. The Nets are going to make you overpay. What are you willing to give up?
But again, the Grizzlies probably have more or as much as anybody to give up because they've got young pieces. They've got draft capital. Now, those draft picks certainly aren't going to be great draft picks because I figure the Grizzlies are going to be good. But they've got plenty to give up. I mean, they're talking about the Warriors. The Warriors are trying to dangle D'Anthony Melton's expiring contract. Okay, well, I'm sure the Nets will want some expiring deals maybe, but they probably also would like some young players, I would think, that could actually play and be part of maybe their future. So,
who has an expiring deal on the Grizzlies of significance?
There really isn't. I mean, they don't have any expiring big contract.
But you're going to have to give up one of those young players. You're going to have to give up a first-round draft pick. I mean, after that, he's not worth – I mean, he's a really good player. He's not worth multiple first-round draft picks.
I'll give them whatever they want.
Really?
Yes. What are
Not
they
even
getting?
an all-star.
I don't need those first round picks right now.
He's not made a difference with the Nets. I mean, he's putting up good numbers, but the Nets, even though they swept the Grizzlies, they'll get one more chance this Friday. Again, Eli's going to try to kidnap him and keep him in Memphis. But, yeah, I mean, look, they're going to hold teams hostage, the Nets, when you have a lot of teams that would love his services.
They're in a good spot.
You know what Juan Soto did? That's what they're going to do.
They will have a bidding war.
Right.
For those trades. So they're going to, I mean, I don't think they'll make any sort of move until we get to the trade deadline. It'd be dumb for the Nets to do anything now unless he get hurt or something. But they've got, as far as expiring deals, the only one the Grizzlies have of really any consequence would be the Luke Kennard deal that they could throw in there to make up some of that money. But again, I look at the end of that bench. And guys who can play, and if shown they can play in the NBA, if you guys do your shopping, do your Christmas shopping, tell us what you want out of that group, and let's make it happen.
Another name of significance that was thrown around yesterday was Jimmy Butler. Now, Butler is long in the tooth to a certain degree, has been around a while, has been beaten and battered. He is as tough as nails, but he has had a lot of injuries. He's also helped Miami win it all. I don't think that's somebody, I would doubt that's somebody in the peripheral for the Grizzlies. But there's going to be a team out there that wouldn't mind having Jimmy Butler.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that would absolutely be teams that want Jimmy Butler. No, I do not think that the Grizzlies would be, he wouldn't want to come to Memphis, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's already said, if that was a true story, that he named a couple of teams. It wasn't the Grizzlies.
He will dictate where he goes if he is moved or at least a group of teams. And yes, just like most others, he doesn't want to come to Memphis.
Well, James Gaddis Jewelers, they are our second hour sponsor. Jay Gaddis, by the way, is going to be with us for a few minutes on Friday to tell you about all the great special deals that are going on right now for the holidays at James Gaddis. I was over there 2 days ago. Always great to visit with James and all the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. They are your family's jeweler. Again, if you're looking to get engaged for New Year's Eve or whatever it is over the holidays and you haven't gotten that rock yet, make sure James Gaddis Jewelers is one of those jewelers that you check out. They have a price point to suit everybody's budget. So whether it be a couple $1,000s to $50,000 or more, they can get that diamond ring for you. Absolutely beautiful diamond ring, and they grade it out and do all the stuff that they do. That's what a diamondologist does. That's what James is all about. He's a diamondologist, and he's graded by the Gemologist Institute of America. So you're getting a great rock, and you're getting it at a very fair price. But also other jewelry needs. You're looking for a watch for a loved one for the holidays or anytime. Whether it be a birthday, anniversary gift, a graduation present. Think of Elijah. He might need a watch, for graduation. They have watches, and they have earrings and pendants and bracelets and necklaces, all different kinds of rings, all different types of gemstones, plus the vintage jewelry, the estate jewelry, and they're always adding to their collection. I guarantee you, you go in there once a week, just stop on by. You're going to see a lot of things you didn't see the week prior. They're always adding to that collection. It's James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at GaddisJewelers.com. Jerry Palm is next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour for $3 $1 off all travel meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and pretzels, mozzarella sticks, queso, $4 a day. Friday night lights from 7 to 11. Dining in Montreal Wednesday night. Raiders free. Watch college football every pro game. All in the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70. Fall is football. Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory that you have to move because it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them for Christmas. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstock, or place to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits. And all fire pits at Family Leisure are
high-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rollers, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Germantown Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
Good morning. We got a couple of accidents out here. We're seeing heavy traffic volume now that has developed here on 40 westbound, pretty much on schedule, actually, from Germantown Parkway all the way to Sycamore View Road as you get up on that 240 flyover. Some of that traffic getting up onto Sam Cooper. It's gotten busier over here now on 240 east and west at Poplar. Hey, shop now and save during the holiday season. Where? Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Diamonds are forever. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:26 is the time. As I mentioned earlier, tomorrow, 8:05, Ryan Silverfield will join us in preparation for Tuesday, next Tuesday, the Frisco Bowl, Memphis and West Virginia. We'll talk to Ryan about that matchup. Kerry Miller will join us to talk some college basketball and some baseball. Obviously, want to get his thoughts on Juan Soto and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour from 9 to 10. That's all tomorrow, but coming up now, it's Jerry Palm.
It's time for Sports 56 Mornings Weekly Chat with Jerry Palm, college football and basketball writer and bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Here are Greg, Eli, and Jerry.
He is Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. He joins us every Wednesday talking both college football and college basketball. JP got an early Christmas present in the form of Barry Odom. Do you like your present?
Yeah, I do. I think when they hired Ryan Walters, he had no background as a head coach. In fact, he was pretty young as a coach, period. And so you were cautiously optimistic, but you didn't have much to base that on. With Barry Odom, this is a guy who's had 5 winning seasons. In his 6th as a head coach, turned around a UNLV program that hardly ever wins at football and immediately goes to 9 wins, which they'd had probably in the 3 previous seasons that they'd been there. So he's done the kinds of things that Purdue needs done, and so that's why you're just optimistic as opposed to cautiously optimistic.
Is it? And if I remember correctly from the time here, Ryan Walters learned under Barry Odom, didn't he?
Ryan Walters was the defensive coordinator at Illinois. I don't know if
He was with Barry Odom here in Memphis and then went to Missouri with Barry Odom.
Ryan Walters was in Memphis?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Ryan
that.
Walters came from, it was under Barry Odom.
Really?
I only remember that Ryan was at Illinois before coming to Purdue. I didn't know where he'd been before that.
Yeah, he went to Illinois, I think, once that staff got fired at Missouri.
Right, off a winning season.
Wow, I had no idea. It's also interesting, though, and you mentioned the success that he had at a place really where you don't see a lot of success, UNLV. He's a defensive guy. And normally the head coaches that have been hired in the last 5-10 years in college football tend to be offensive guys. Not that you can't bring in a great defensive mind, but here they go with Barry.
Yes.
Yeah, a great offensive mind, right? But here's Barry, who's that defensive mindset. Is that the right mentality to have when you're in the Big Ten?
Well, at Purdue in particular, our best coaches have been more offensive-minded guys. Joe Tiller. Although Joe Tiller, earlier in his career before coming to Purdue as a head coach, was Purdue's defensive coordinator at one time. And then, Jeff Brom, of course, a great offensive mind in college football as well. So our 2 most recent coaches that have had great success were offensive-minded guys. But part of the success that Barry had at UNLV was a really good offensive coordinator who ran an exciting offense. Now, he says, yesterday that, our ability to run the ball is going to be really important. And I can tell you that while Purdue fans have always seemed to thrive on, exciting offenses, and we're the cradle of quarterbacks and all of that. If we win 9 games, with Walter Payton back there running the ball and Bob Avellini a quarterback, we're fine with that.
Right.
There are other ways to win 9 games. We're not going to be so focused on how good our offense is if we're winning 9 games. Now, if we're winning 4, that's different. But anyways, we'll see if he can turn Purdue around as quickly as he was able to do at UNLV, or as Curt Cignetti did at Indiana, which, a lot of Purdue fans are keeping an eye on. But, what Cignetti did at IU is an outlier. So we'll see, and they got a schedule to do it with, whereas Purdue's schedule is still going to be brutal next year.
By the way, do you think the National Coach of the Year is Cignetti or Dillingham or somebody else?
I voted for Dillingham because he won his league. They're similar, in the fact that really not much was expected. Arizona State was picked for last.
Right.
And went on to win their league. Cignetti obviously did a great job too. But my vote was for Dillingham because he won his league.
By the way, Walter stayed 1 year under Drinkwitz. He actually held over at that Missouri staff, stayed 1 year under Drinkwitz at Missouri, then went to Illinois to join Bielema. Funny enough that when he went to Illinois to join Bielema as defensive coordinator, one of the guys that also was interested or was rumored to have that job if he wanted it was Barry Odom, who elected at that time to stay at Arkansas.
One big happy family.
So Walters then got the job at Illinois, which is funny. But so with the selections that were actually made, how close were you in what you thought would happen?
So I thought Miami would be ahead of Alabama the week before. And the reason for that was I just felt that, Miami was competitive every time they took the field, and Alabama wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
They had that third loss. That third loss was 24-3 to Oklahoma, complete no-show game. Obviously, the case for Alabama was strength of schedule and 3 wins over ranked teams, albeit at home. But 2 losses to unranked teams, and I just thought that would keep them behind Miami. Once it didn't keep them behind Miami, now I'm looking at SMU and I'm thinking, well, if SMU's 11-2, they're basically Miami with better losses. They don't have a win over a ranked team. Both their losses are to ranked teams, which was better than Miami, and they have 1 more win. But their resume looked a lot more like Miami's than it did Alabama's, and we knew what they thought about Alabama and Miami. So then I thought Alabama would get in, and they went with SMU. So I felt like that was a little inconsistent, although the case for SMU ahead of Alabama is a little better than the case for Miami ahead of Alabama, and I thought that was a good case as well. So I don't have a problem with SMU being picked, other than I felt like it was a little inconsistent.
We were talking about this earlier. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, finally spoke about the selections. He spoke yesterday about the Sunday selections and said, I need to have a much better understanding with their decision-making than I have right now. Now, he said that the system was put together with the assumption there was 5 power conferences as opposed to 4, which, again, I don't think should alter everything. But to him...
The only thing it altered was how many automatic qualifiers there were.
So they're the ones that developed this system that we have. And, of course, it'll change after... Yeah. It could change in 2025, but we know it'll change in 2026 and beyond.
Right.
But here's Sankey, considered arguably the most powerful person in college football, and he comes out of this thing going, I need a better understanding of what happened. What do they need to do? Because there is there's not a lot of transparency, but there's also not a lot of criteria for the members of the committee to base things on. You know what I mean?
They don't really list much in terms of criteria beyond, like strength of schedule and head-to-head results. And this committee really valued and, was almost religiously attached to head-to-head results. Like Clemson beats SMU and still doesn't jump South Carolina because they lost to South Carolina. And, that's, in fact, by the way...
Clemson was behind SMU, right? In the...
they were.
In the rankings, and they just beat them.
Yeah, because SMU ended up, right ahead of Alabama, and there's 4 teams between them and Clemson. And that is, by the way, the first time in the CFP rankings era that a team won as a lower-ranked team and won a conference championship game and did not jump the team they beat.
Really?
And I'm not saying that they should have anyway, because they still had 1 more loss. But I'm surprised the gap was as big between SMU and Clemson, given that Clemson won that game. And the fact that game was a last-second field goal might be part of why SMU wasn't punished more.
No question.
And, in fact, Ward Manuel kind of said as much. But that's all the subjective part of this process. I mean, Greg Sankey may want an understanding, but guess what? It's subjective.
Right,
so you're not going to get much of an understanding.
So should there be more?
You've got 13.
Yeah, but should there be more
people with 13 opinions, and that's how it is.
But Jerry, how do they fix that where it's just not solely
you go
13
back to BCS
opinions?
Computers. You go back to computers. That sucks too, by the way.
Yeah.
Just so you know. That going back to computers would suck even more.
And I don't know if this would include the computers. It may, but it's all analytics. It's all numbers. It's all smarter people than me trying to figure this out. But how about a quadrant system where you base your opponents in these quads, and therefore you can kind of even out whether a team plays in a tougher conference with a tougher schedule and has one more loss than a team in a lesser conference who gets the benefit of the doubt because they had one less loss. Isn't there a way to do that by assigning numbers and assigning teams' schedules?
You'd have to do that algorithmically. I mean, that's something you would need a computer ranking for.
Right. Like I said, it's well beyond what I could do, but there are people that can do those type of things. There's got to be a way to judge and to gauge an SEC schedule versus a Big 12 schedule or a Mountain West schedule or things of that nature.
And that's not even drilling down enough because not all SEC schedules are the same.
But
not
that's
all
why you're looking at the teams they play. Right, but that's why you put them in different quadrants. Beating Mississippi State is not the same as beating Georgia.
Personally, I don't think you have enough data in college football, enough teams playing enough games to do a really good job of that kind of thing with a computer. Basketball, you've got 3 times as many teams playing 3 times as many games, and that's fine. But when you're only talking about 12 or in some cases 13 games, there's not a ton of interconnect to really do a great job mathematically of sorting these teams out.
But if it's
people do it, but that
doesn't
mean
now. If it continues to be like this, we're going to continue to have these type of issues.
Well, but here's the problem. First of all, by the way, what a bad day for your brand argument that was. SMU getting ahead of Alabama.
I admitted it. I was shocked, and I applauded it.
But he's still not going to quit, Jerry.
No, I'm not going to quit.
He's still going to tell you it's about brand.
No,
but I did
what he's going to say
is
that SMU is now a bigger brand than Alabama.
Let me say this, though. They exhausted every possibility of trying to get Alabama in, but they just couldn't. When it came down to it, you just couldn't do it because they would look stupid after what happened the week prior and what happened last year as well. So, no, I applaud them for doing that finally. I still think there is brand favoritism, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, well, don't tell Greg Sankey that. But here's the thing: we've got one more year of this, and then we're on to something completely different, which is maybe not completely different, but you're talking about the next iteration of this being 2 or 4 more teams, 14 or 16 total,
right?
And the SEC and the Big Ten having 4 AQs each. So there's your brand stuff.
Right.
It built into the system, and then there's 8 other teams, some automatic qualifiers for conference champions.
Well, here's what I say. Here was my my thought on that. And by the way, they have to be proactive. They have to think ahead to the possible mistakes that can happen. It's just like they never.
That's not something that really is a strength.
No, they're always reactive. They're never proactive. But I say this: listen, it's going to 16 eventually, so don't go to 14. Either keep it 12 and never change, or I think they should go to 16. You go to 16. You got
14. 14 is an ugly bracket.
It really is. So you go to 16. You have 4 Power 4 conferences. The Pac-12 is never going to get back to being a power conference, I don't believe. So you got the 4. You have the 2 teams that make it to the championship game. They're automatic in. So it doesn't matter if they win or lose or whatever, except for seeding. But those 4, there's no buys. Everybody plays in the first round. So you have 8 automatic in from the Power 4. You have 2 spots that go to the group of 5. They don't have to be a champion. They could be a champion and the second place team in that conference if they are ranked higher than all the other conference champions in the group of 5. Now you're at 10. And then you add 6 at large. I think it settles a lot of problems. There's still problems.
So you're talking about, so I'm going to correct you just slightly.
Okay.
4 teams from the SEC, 4 teams from the Big Ten, 2 from the Big 12, 2 from the ACC, so that's 12.
I didn't say 4 from each of those conferences.
I know you didn't. That's why I'm correcting you, because that's what's going to happen. So now you're up to 12. The other 4, you've got a group of 5 conference champions and 3 other at-larges.
So you believe it will absolutely happen? I know they've talked about it, that there will be 4 guarantees.
If they're talking about it, it's going to happen. And there isn't really enough power anywhere else to talk them out of it.
Well,
I mean, to where that's not going to happen.
This year inspired the SEC to put that in even more. They're like, okay, we know we absolutely will just do this, so we make sure of it. The problem with putting both teams from the conference championship game in, whether they win or lose, would be this year's Clemson. If they lost that game, that'd be 4 losses. They shouldn't be guaranteed a spot.
Yeah, but they got to that championship game in a power conference. I mean, if you're talking about 4 in the Big Ten and the 4 in the SEC.
But then you can get to a power conference championship game based on your unbalanced schedule, so you sneak in there. And with 4 losses for the season, you don't deserve to be in there.
Yeah, but they keep talking about how important the conference championship games are. But you're going to, in your theory, which may very well come to fruition, 4 and 4 automatically from the 2 biggest power conferences, and then the 2 other power conferences. We're talking about power conferences. Miami, Clemson, you know the teams. They're going to get 1 each. I mean, they could get an at-large, but only guaranteed 1, the champion? Jerry?
It could be their 2 best teams. And if you have a team that's in a conference championship game like Clemson, which was the 3rd highest ranked team in the league, but made the conference championship, you could just say the 2 highest ranked teams from each of those leagues.
So you're thinking
one of them is going to be the champion.
So you're saying there's going to be 2 guarantees for the ACC, for the Big 12.
No, you said that. I was just trying to talk you through it.
No, okay. But you're saying there's 4 for the Big 10, 4 for the SEC. What are they doing with the other 2 power conferences?
I don't know. They haven't talked about that.
They'll guarantee their
They've
champion
only
spot.
talked about them. You'll be surprised to learn that they only talked about themselves.
Yeah, they're going to treat them, though, like a redheaded stepchild. They're going to treat them like the group of 5.
Yes, because it's the Big Ten and the SEC
given us
making the
those
rules.
details.
Yeah, but
they haven't talked about it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a fully thought out thing.
No, I understand.
That's the only part I've heard said out loud.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the ACC and the Big 12, while they're not the Big 10 and the SEC, are still power conferences.
But they don't have any say in this. The Big Ten and the SEC are making the rules.
They might as well, again, just leave. Just go and do their own thing. Now, that's ridiculous.
That's the whole point. That's the
I hope
threat they have over these teams.
Blows up.
They have that as the threat that they can do against these other conferences. So you'll do it our way, or we'll just do it ourselves.
Well, and not only that, we'll take your best teams to go with us out the door.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, those 4 teams that you want to keep with you, we'll take those, and we'll take our ball, your teams, and we'll go do our thing. Or you can just agree to do it this way.
Well, the committee didn't appear to be worried about Sankey at all by their decision making.
It's
Again,
literally the Big Ten.
I applaud him for
it's
that.
the Big Ten, the SEC, and ESPN who are making the decisions.
And it's I mean, really, the Big Ten got 4 in because they were so top heavy.
Right.
The SEC was not quite as top heavy. And so the upper, 7 or 8 teams in that league beat each other up.
Parity hurts. And the parity hurts.
In a 16-team playoff, the SEC would have had 2 more.
4 teams at the top, and a big gap to Illinois and a bigger gap to everyone else. So, and that's why the Big Ten was able to get 4 teams in, because they just ran away from everyone else.
Well, I guess in a 16-team playoff this year, the SEC
3 of the
would have
4,
6?
Only one of those 4 played the other 3. The other 3 didn't play any of the others.
But in a 16-team playoff this year, the SEC would have got 6 in, because of the next 4 teams in the rankings, you would have had Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and South Carolina as the 4 teams that went in.
Yeah.
So the SEC would have got...
If you weren't guaranteeing 2 to the
Well, that's the
Big
thing.
12
See, if you've earned your way in, it's hard to argue if you earn your way in, but that's why 4 spots guaranteed for each one of those conferences. I mean, come on, man. Why don't you go out there and earn it?
But again, like in a 16-team playoff, I would pretty much guarantee every year there would be 4 Big Ten and 4 SEC teams out of that.
Again, if they earn their way in, that's fine. But that they're
Yeah,
guaranteed.
they're going to. Like, that's just they're going to. Like they're.
Yeah. So, but Greg's point is, so all right, what are you afraid of?
Right. Right.
Why do you have to guarantee it? You know you're going to do it. Why do you have to guarantee
Well, you
it?
guys just talked about Clemson, right? Clemson situation. If the ACC champion this year, you took both teams, Clemson lost, 4 losses, they would be in, that kind of thing. Well, how about if the 4th Big Ten team isn't an Indiana that had an exceptional year? Maybe instead of being as top-heavy as it was, instead of being Dolly Parton, it was, I don't know, give me another example. But they got 3 of them, and not 4. And that 4th team has 3 losses, and they lose.
Well, Illinois is sitting there 9-3 right now. So.
Yeah, so there's a 3-loss team. But again, it may not always work out where they got 4 that are incredibly better than everybody else.
Yeah. No, in fact, most years it won't be that top heavy.
I just hope for the first time ever, they think everything through. Think about the possible problems that they can have, because they didn't do that here. They didn't think of the possible problems that could arise.
Well, Greg Sankey is absolutely thinking of them.
I'm going to bet they don't think it thoroughly through.
No. Hey, by the way, real quick before we go, we'll talk some college hoops also coming up in the coming weeks, but so much football to go. Do you think Belichick, you think this thing is serious? That he couldn't end up in North Carolina?
I hope not. I mean, what is it with North Carolina and coaches that are old enough to be the grandparent of everybody on their roster, and most of the assistant coaches? I don't. Yeah.
What do you got against old people, Jerry?
Grandparent could be a great grandparent.
I am one. I'm not that far away from Belichick. So I nothing. But it's hard to relate to people that are 2 generations younger than you all the time.
Yeah, now, but how about if he's just flashing all those rings on his? He comes.
He might.
In.
He might. And
right?
But college coaching is a lot different than pro coaching.
It's getting closer, though.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
And that's
but
his
there's
whole
still
point.
Differences.
No,
It's at best an interesting hire if Belichick. He's not bringing Tom Brady with him.
Maybe as offensive coordinator.
Tom Brady Jr.
But maybe they weren't quite the same when Brady retired.
Right. Who knows?
So,
I mean, it probably won't happen. The odds say it won't, but you never know. It would be really interesting for the game.
It's made this coaching cycle interesting.
It has.
The fact that his name is in it.
He is Jerry Palm. Make sure to read him at CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. Obviously, the bowls are now all set, so you don't got to worry about the bowl projection. But now you start to think about the NCAA basketball tournament and his bracketology and all that great stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. Listen to him every Wednesday with us right here on Sports 56 Mornings, talking college basketball and college football. JP, have a great week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
All right, thanks.
Take care.
Folks, the Light Garden is back once again this year down in Olive Branch City Park. The unbelievable display of Christmas lights, the various displays, absolutely wonderful stuff. They've got their special nights that they do as well. Plus, you've got food. You've got pictures with Santa on a nightly basis. This year, they've added a winter-inspired miniature golf course as well. Live music, shopping, all kinds of great stuff on a nightly basis down at the Light Garden in Olive Branch. They are open nightly for you to go check this out from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. This is a walk-through deal. This isn't a drive-through. This is a walk-through display of Christmas lights. Tickets start at just $14 for adults, $9 for kids. You could buy a season pass, so you can go out as many times as you want. You can buy tickets online and actually save a little bit of money as well if you go to lightgarden.online. Lightgarden.online, that's the website. You can check out all the details and buy your tickets right there on the website. See when the special nights are, what the special nights are. They've got the New Year's Eve fireworks show that they'll be doing once again this year. And again, with those season passes, that gets you into all of those special nights as well. So again, lightgarden.online is the website to check that out and get all the details and buy those tickets as well. But I've got even a better deal than just saving a little bit buying online on those tickets. I've got some tickets. I've got 2 pair of tickets. Let's do caller number 3 and caller number 5. Caller number 3 and caller number 5. 360-8255, 360-8255. Caller number 3, caller number 5, each get a pair of tickets to go check out the Light Garden down in Olive Branch. Again, open every single night, 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. The Light Garden.
I got some crazy numbers to tell you about when we get back. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Trevor Martin, linebacker for the University of Memphis football. You need cash? Refinance your auto loan with Southern Security and have no payment for 60 days. Southern Security will finance up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle for up to 72 months. To find out how to put more cash in your pocket, call our member service team at 901-452-7900 or apply on our website, southernsecurity.org. Southern Security is a proud supporter of University of Memphis Athletics. Southern Security, your home team premium. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
The holidays are almost here again, and whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's, I've sold homes on all of them and even more. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensworth Realtors, and find that many people do move during this time of year. Being involved with a major relocation network, we see a lot of people moving into the Memphis area as the holiday season doesn't stop them, nor does it stop people who are just now beginning to start their home search. A couple of things you should remember. Waiting until spring when the azaleas bloom, so do the real estate signs, which means more competition. Before you list your home with someone, you should always talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and just make sure that I am one of them. Find out why they say that when you want the job done, call Sheldon. And yes, I may be the worst golfer in town, but I have a highly successful strategic marketing program that gets it done. Call or email me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Shell Dunn at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Let me guess, you're going to recommend that everyone get their holiday meal from Central Barbecue.
No, although it's a great idea, get everybody some fantastic Central Barbecue and not have to do any of the work, but that is not what this spot is about.
It's not?
No, this is about another way Central Barbecue can save you time and trouble.
Ah, Central Barbecue gift cards.
That's right. You don't have to fight the holiday gift shoppers when you can just go online and order up a handful of Central Barbecue gift cards.
No one has ever turned up their nose at getting the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
In the world for free. Grizz Nation, you feeling lucky? Win big with Grizzlies spin-to-win ticket deals to secure your seats when the team takes on the Brooklyn Nets this Friday, December 13th. With one spin, you can unlock 4 seats, free tickets, or an exclusive ticket deal to the game. You heard that right. Your chance to win 4 seats, free tickets, or unlock exclusive ticket savings for this Friday's game versus the Brooklyn Nets. Head over to grizzlies.com/spin-to-win to test your luck.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Got a text here on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. Texter says, take computers, politics, bias, etc. out of the selection process. Let Vegas pick the 12 best teams. Well, I hate to tell you, but if you let the people in Vegas pick the 12 best teams, you're not taking computers out of it. What do you think they do for their power rankings? They use computers.
Everything's logarithms, all that stuff. How do you think those odds all come up? And
what you're actually saying is turn it over to the computers. That's literally all you're doing. You're saying just let the computers decide, which, again, was the old system. We had computers that decided it for the BCS. People didn't like that. So you're saying put just computers in.
Plus, Vegas is not always right. You and I both said, how the hell is Georgia not favored in the SEC championship game?
Vegas, that's the whole thing.
They make mistakes.
If you're going to let Vegas do it, then the season literally doesn't matter. Because if Texas and Georgia play again, Texas will probably be favored again. Because they're in their power rankings, they're better. And so they'll put them in as a favorite again. Alabama was a 3-touchdown favorite against Oklahoma.
I still think,
and if they played them again, they would be still. But that doesn't mean they beat them. So you can't just say, well, Vegas, you get to pick the 12 best teams. If that's the case, literally the season doesn't matter.
I still think there should be a member of the media on that panel, part of the selection process. Not an ESPN-affiliated media member, but somebody else, national college football writer, broadcaster, that knows the game like the back of his hand or her hand, that watches all these games. I just think that brings a little bit of a different perspective into that room. All right, speaking of college football, our buddy Steve Berkowitz from USA Today put this together. This is incredible, but not surprising. This year, Ohio State has spent, with their football head coach Ryan Day, 10 primary assistants and their top strength coach, $23 million in salary, not including bonuses. $23 million in salary. 79 Division I public schools spent less on their entire athletics programs. Let me say that one more time. Ohio State is spending a combined $23 million on its football head coach, 10 primary assistants, and top strength coach, not including bonuses. 79 Division I public schools spent less on their entire athletics program. And Ohio State went out and lost to Michigan. For Ryan Day's sake, they better win the national championship. Jim Knowles, their defensive coordinator, $2.2 million. Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator, $2 million. We were talking, I was at a lunch yesterday. We were talking about Gus Malzahn now moving on from being a head coach at UCF to be the offensive coordinator for Mike Norvell at Florida State. Same deal with Chip Kelly, who took over the OC position at Ohio State, leaving his head coaching job at UCLA. People say, well, why would they do that? These are coaches that have made a lot of money. They've banked a lot of money. And you know what? Maybe they're just fed up with the whole system, and they don't want to be the CEO. They just want to coach their position. In this case, the offense. Same with Gus, with Chip. They just want to coach the offense. And when you're paid $2 million and don't have to worry about the problems that the head coach has to deal with, why wouldn't you do it? It's not like these guys are just beginning and they left a head coaching position. These guys have been in the business for a while. They have banked a lot of coin. It makes sense. I think you may see more of this because you've had head coaches in football or basketball that have just left, that have just taken their attaché case, and have left. Tony Bennett being one of them. Jay Wright being another a couple of years ago. Just fed up with things. It makes sense. Okay, you don't want to leave the game, but at least get away from all those things you have to deal with now that a head coach has to deal with. Yeah, you may not be making $8 million anymore. You're making $2 million, and you've already banked a lot of money. Makes sense.
Fleet Feet, the place to go to get all your running gear. You want to make sure you get shoes that are just right for you? Well, go see the folks at Fleet Feet at either the Laurelwood Shopping Center location in East Memphis or the Collierville location, which is right there at Poplar and Houston Levy, next door to the Hueys. You go in there, they take a look at the way you run, the way you walk, and they'll fit you with shoes that are just right for you. Now, a lot of folks, of course, running the St. Jude Marathon this past weekend. Well, for a lot of folks were wearing gear from Fleet Feet, and that's the place to go to get off. If you've got a runner on that Christmas gift list, well, go to Fleet Feet. Certainly they will have something there for them, and if you don't know exactly what they want, well, a gift card to Fleet Feet will work very well for them also. Go to see them, again, both locations or online, fleetfeetmemphis.com, or on social media where they keep you up to date with all the things they've got going on over at Fleet Feet.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for seats and more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear, please listen carefully for our menu restraint. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of their mother's maiden name, dial it now. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert creative lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
The IMAX at Paradiso Cinema offers moviegoers a truly immersive cinematic experience, a way to enjoy movies like never before. IMAX's cutting-edge technology will make you believe you are part of the action. Visit Malco.com to reserve seats to Memphis's only IMAX theater.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning, TDOT and MPD out with a couple of accidents. We're still seeing some volume over here. Probably will for the next 20-30 minutes on 40 westbound as you work your way past Germantown Parkway, trying to get on that ramp there onto 240 there at the flyover. On some of that traffic onto Sam Cooper and Midtown traffic pretty much typical right now. 240 north at Lamar. Affordable, compassionate veterinarian care for your pet at the Humane Society of Memphis Shelby County. Check out all the pets that are up for adoption by logging on to memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brad Mooresworthy and Brian Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Final hour for us today here on Sports 56 Mornings, this Hump Day edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, located at 2120 Witten Road. That's just north of I-40. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll talk Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole, followed by Tigers basketball talk with Parth Upadhyay. Third hour of the program is brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. And they invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors is located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. They sell it wholesale, skipping the middleman, saving you lots of money in the process. They make your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. So contractors, builders, family projects. Again, it makes sense. If you're a builder or a contractor, you do it yourself. You get the material, top of the line, for less money. If you want Jenkins to do it for you, like I said, a 2-week turnaround. They will come to you. They will give you a free estimate. All you have to do is call them at 662-469-9350. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business. We look forward to talking with DeMichael Cole.
It's time to talk some Grizzlies basketball. joining Greg and Eli is DeMichael Cole, Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. Here's DeMichael with Greg and Eli.
He is DeMichael Cole, Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC. You can listen to him every Wednesday talking with us all year long here on Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning, DeMichael. How are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Doing great. I mean, right now it's fun to watch this Grizzlies team. They're in a nice groove. Great win in Boston. I think you could certainly make the case that that's their best win of the season. Hopefully a lot more to come.
Yeah. I mean, that one had more significance than just kind of, playing a stellar team. This was a team that had beaten you 10 times in a row in Boston. This was a team where pretty much most of the Grizzlies roster has just never beaten the Celtics before. John Morant and Desmond Bain and I think Brandon Clark were the only three guys who played for the Grizzlies in a game to beat the Celtics. When the Grizzlies beat the Celtics that one time in 2021, John Conchar got a DNP and Jaren Jackson Jr. was hurt. Mm-hmm. So the rest of the roster, wasn't on the team then. But yeah, that's the game, and you could sense it from the players too after the fact. Like that's the one where you like, okay, we're one of those teams because before the game, it's all they would tell me like, we just want to see where we stack up. We just want to see where we stack up. And you go into Boston and you pretty much lead for most of the night, and then you took the punch, right? Fourth quarter, Boston gets the lead, and typically that's all she wrote. Momentum swings, and you had a good first three quarters, but no, Memphis responded. Jaren took over. Des made some big shots down the stretch. Ja had a big game, so big win for them.
And then it was like the Washington game. Obviously, you're without some of those guys. Washington made that little run in the third quarter, got it down to 8. And Taylor called the timeout. I don't know what he said, but from that point on, they just absolutely dominated the rest of that game.
Yeah, it's like when we play 2K, we say you turn the sliders up, and it's like they turned the sliders up, and they just turned into a whole different team. I mean, everything was going in. I think it was a 20-2 run after that stretch, Eli. But I mean, the team has some depth, and I know. Before the game, when Ja and Dez were ruled out, they didn't roll over just great with everybody. But at the same time, you're playing Washington, they're missing a bunch of bodies. And we talk so much about the depth that this Grizzlies team has. Take advantage of that depth. You have the ability to play the long game, in some ways. And some of those ways is you play Washington twice this season so far without Ja and Dez, and you beat them. By 20-plus each time.
So it's not quantity anymore with Ja Morant dunks, but it is quality because that dunk in Boston was tremendous.
It was. I mean, and I think that's kind of what we're going to see. Like you said, the quality's still going to be there because some teams are just going to put him in situations where he has no choice.
Right.
And even his teammates, I've been talking to his teammates about it a little bit. Like when he's on a break and they're on 2-on-1s, they're not going to throw him a bounce pass on the floor. They're going to throw the ball in the air and say, "Go get it." That's an easy 2 points. So, the opportunities will still be there. I think when he said that he wasn't dunking anymore, people probably took him a little bit too literally. Mm-hmm. It's more of just kind of like, hey, when I can avoid thunderous dunks that are meaningless, I'm probably going to do that when I could just lay the ball up and get the same 2 points. I'm telling you, I always point back to that Lakers series. That was the transition point. If you go back to that series, Josh just literally going to the rim, recklessly flying over the place. Like, I joked about it, but, I mean, he looked like a Hardy brother in that series against the Lakers, like just throwing his body around. And I mean, I know he took a lot of he took a beating in that series, so now it's all about, kind of, preserving yourself in a way.
Obviously, second in the West right now. You missed it, just had the win over Boston. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the way they're playing, especially when you consider they're 17-8 and have had a lot of guys miss games due to injuries. Do we have to temper the excitement at all in that weirdly enough, they've played more games against the East than they have the West so far.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I keep saying, like, they're winning a lot of these games, but they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. When they had that homestand, I said it. I said they shouldn't lose a game. They should not lose a game. When we're talking about them playing the Blazers, the Pistons, the injury-riddled Pelicans, the Indiana Pacers, there's not a loss in that stretch. Even the Bulls before that on the road, the injury-riddled Sixers, before that. So, like, the schedule has kind of been there for them to take advantage of it, but they've done it, and that's what you got to do. And I think you give them a clap for that, because last year, early in the season, there were a bunch of games where we felt like, oh, okay, they'll win those games, and they lost them. So this team is doing what good teams do against bad teams. They're not only winning, they're destroying these teams. And I think that's where the confidence comes from. Like, that game against the Wizards wasn't a nail-biter, or any of those games on that homestand that I mentioned. I mean, they all were pretty much blowouts. Every game was a double-digit win. So there is that part of it. But, make no mistake about it. I'm personally, I'm like, hey, this is a really good team, but you won't hear me say all the championship contender stuff until we get to that stretch. When you get late December, you got to go to OKC. Then you get the Suns. Suns are 9-1 with Kevin Durant. So New Year's Eve, you get the Suns on the road, and then after that, you go to the Kings and the Warriors back to back. Then you return home, and we're talking January now. Then you got the Mavs, the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Rockets. That's what I'm waiting on. Well, talk to me mid-January, and we'll know if this team is in the elite of the elite. But they're trending that way.
I think that's fair. I think it's very fair. DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. You were talking about some of those early season blunders, games that you would normally not lose. 2 of them were against Brooklyn, and now they got a chance to play him a third time because of the Emirates NBA Cup. That'll be Friday. So should we bet our house on the Grizzlies to win? They got to have a chip on their shoulder playing the Nets on Friday.
They got to have a chip on their shoulder, right? This team not only beat you twice, but they probably were both games you felt like you should have won. The Grizzlies entered that fourth quarter, in the home game, they were down 1, and you got ran out of your own building, by the Nets in that fourth quarter. I think that game ended 119-106. But, there's some little caveats there. Like, that was, I think, maybe the first game, one of the few games that Ja Diggs and Jaren played. But I think Marcus Smart, he was still in the starting lineup at that time, and he got hurt early in that game. And whatnot. So a couple things there. And then I know they lost on the road, 106-104. Desmond Bain, didn't play in that game as well as Marcus Smart. So your starting lineup, I think, was Ja, Jaren, Santi, and Zach Edey and Jalen Wells. So, a lot of different moving pieces. Like Brandon Clark played 11 minutes in that game, and now I think we come to understand that Brandon Clark's role right now is bigger than 11 minutes. So this team has a more firm identity. Still not one that, kind of set in stone, but it's more firm than it was early in the season. And they're rolling right now. But, that Nets team, especially Dennis Schroeder, he's really got the best. He's got the best of them. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they respond after, because this is kind of, to me, this is kind of how you get a sense of how a team will do in the playoffs to a lesser degree, because that's what the playoffs is. It's about making those adjustments against teams that you're playing over and over and over. And this will be a good case. I think it's the first team they played 3 times this season.
With Zach Edey, it's weird because normally if a guy's out this long, the Grizzlies would have sent some sort of injury update. They never have with him. Like it's just been. Do you have any idea when we might see him back?
Yeah, it won't be too much longer. If not this week, we'll see him next week. Is my thought, but I say that carefully because there was the thought that he'd be back on that road, somewhere in that road back to back. Boston and again Washington. They assigned him to the Memphis Hustle practice. on that Wednesday. I think it was last Wednesday. And, a week ago from today, they signed him to the Memphis Hustle practice. And things didn't just go great, so to speak. Like, after that practice, they weren't like, all right, it's time to bring him back. But going into that practice, it was like, okay, if all goes well, we're going to just ramp him up and have him ready for the weekend. So he's close, but again, kind of how we always talk about with the Grizzlies, and especially you're talking about a 7'4" guy dealing with any type of foot injury. You got to be careful, and they're being careful. But I don't think there's any long-term, effect right now, at least. So the thought is he'll be trending that way in the next week.
Eli, perhaps they'll redshirt him with the way Jay Huff's playing. Save a year, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's one thing. They don't need to rush him back because you're fine at the center position right now. So, and the team's rolling. So it's not like you're like, oh gosh, we have to get Zach Edey back.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But at the same time, I would counter that with what we just said a little bit earlier. With the schedule and say, you got this Lakers game coming up, and when they lose to the Lakers, it's simply because they're too small, or it's a physical thing. When they lose to the Lakers, it's always about the physicality. Then after that, you get the Warriors, but even beyond that, you get the Clippers. You get the Clippers with Zubac, and then that stretch we just talked about, with the Thunder and the Suns, even the Pelicans. You're going to play some teams that kind of built on physicality a little bit, and they have some bigs that'll take advantage if you don't have a guy like Zach Edey.
That's a great point. All right, so the trade rumors have started already, not just with the Grizzlies, but around the league. Teams that may be making certain players available. Jimmy Butler's name had popped up. Ingram's name is out there. Certainly the Nets may be willing, and we've talked about Cam Johnson in the past. Do you expect it to be really active by the time the trade deadline comes along? And who knows, maybe even some teams will make moves in the next month or so and not even wait to the trade deadline. But do you expect it to be active, and you expect some big names to be changing locations?
It's going to be active because there's so many, especially in the Western Conference. There's a lot of teams that feel like they're right there. Of course, with the top four, the Mavs, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, Oklahoma City, but even beyond that, if you're the Kings, you're playing great offensively, but of course they're struggling on the defensive end. So they probably feel like, hey, if we get us a nice defensive game changer, it can catapult us, to where we want to be. If you're the Suns, you say, oh, we just need to get healthy, so let's add a depth piece. If you're the Timberwolves, you may need a little bit better guard play to go with, the front court that you have there. And, of course, the Lakers are always trying to do something because they have aging stars. So you're gonna see a lot of activity from the standpoint of teams just vying to make that move that's going to put them, over the hump, so to speak. And the Grizzlies, I think, will be involved in some of those conversations. The Grizzlies have a little bit different situation than some of those teams, whereas the Grizzlies will probably be looking to add, but there's I think there will be a subtract component to it as well. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the Grizzlies roster, it's a very clear picture here. You got a bunch of guys under contract, and typically when that happens is you're going to get overcrowded at some point, because in the near future, you got a first-round pick that's going to be a guaranteed contract, and you're probably going to have another move that you want to make. And right now, you're looking at Luke Kennard, and Luke Kennard is is projected to be a free agent. You decline Jake LaRavia's option, but he's playing well, so there's a give and take there. And then there's Santi Aldama entering restricted free agency after this season. So, look, the way Santi and Jake are playing, I'm sure, I've been told in so many ways that they'll try to keep Jake LaRavia. But at the same time, there will be outside interest. So I think, if Jake LaRavia basically keeps playing as great as he is, and you get confidence that when Vince Williams gets, closer, that he's going to be the Vince Williams that he has been, and even progress even further, maybe a guy like Jake LaRavia becomes a little bit more expendable from the standpoint of, hey, look, we're not going to be able to resign him. Let's go ahead and potentially move him so we can get something for it. And that's a possibility. But again, Jake LaRavia is playing great basketball. I'm just pointing to the fact that it's a numbers crunch around here, and you can't keep everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's you. I wonder how they look at those guys and who they would like to keep the most. Understanding you're going to have to give up some. If you want to make a move and really make a good move for somebody that really is going to help the team, you're going to have to get rid of some of them. Like, I wonder how they kind of rank those guys importance-wise as to who they would be willing to deal the most to the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would think the depth has a lot to play into that, as well as the contract status. Like, for example, right now, Jake LaRavia is playing so well. I'm convinced even when Vince Williams Jr. Returns, they got to earn those spots. You're not just about to jump in front of him now. Like, he has been, a real good impact plus minus guy for them. When he plays, they play really good basketball. So with that being said, those guys, even Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams, they're going to have to come back and earn, those rotation minutes. But when you talk about being expendable, Jake LaRavia, you look at his contract, final year. You look at Vince Williams, you got 3 more years after this. Same thing with Gigi Jackson. So there's there's long-term, stability with those guys. Same thing with a guy like Santi Aldama. You're entering, restricted free agency here. The way he's playing, a team might try to price you out there. I mean, I doubt it, but it's possible. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. You can't keep everybody. And depth sometimes becomes overrated, in my opinion, because if you look at the history of the NBA, you go through every dynasty that you can think of in NBA history, the core stays the same. Everything around the court typically changes. Teams aren't really keeping role players for the entirety, and a lot of role players. I see, like if you Golden State, most recent, I guess, quote unquote dynasty that I can think of. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, even you could throw Iguodala in there. That stayed the same pretty much for the majority of that core. But what's changed around it was Leandro Barbosa, Maurice Spates. Those guys left in the early going, and then Jordan Poole and all these other guys start to come in. And even with the Spurs, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, that stayed the same. But Bruce Bowen turned into Kawhi Leonard or, LaMarcus Aldridge, comes in to play along. Like, the pieces around you are typically going to change. And I think, as long as you got those core guys in place, you have the ability to move, some pieces around.
He is DeMichael Cole. He's the Grizzlies beat reporter for the Commercial Appeal. Also, the Locked On Grizz podcast co-host. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC and listen to him every Wednesday talking with us right here on Sports 56 Mornings. Thank you, DeMichael, as always. Really appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
You too. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue. Appreciate them as well, being one of our great sponsors, and appreciate what they produce, which is delicious. Slow smoked barbecue, and whether it be the holidays or any time, it's always a good time for Corky's. You're running around doing some shopping, stop by one of their 4 convenient locations for lunch or bring the family for dinner. If you want to order up at your office, still have one of the services, DoorDash or any of the delivery services, drop that off at your workplace. Again, you can dine in, you can carry out, drive-through, no contact delivery. And catering, they have specialized in catering since they've been in existence, which they started about 4 decades ago. And they'll start you out as low as just $8.99 per person for that delicious barbecue. Again, there is nothing too big, too small for them to cater. Just give them a call and ask about their catering services. When you head over for lunch, add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99. That's also the deal at dinner. They have lunch specials every day, party packs that start at just $7.49. And make sure to pick up some Corky's gift cards. They always make a great stocking stuffer. 4 locations in the Mid-South: Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. It's Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Coming up next, we're talking Tigers basketball with Parthu Pajai. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Hi, friends. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and it's time to get serious about Christmas shopping for your special lady. As we celebrate our 40th Christmas at Russell Brothers, we've gathered the most stunning collection of beautiful diamonds and gemstones that you can possibly imagine. Exquisitely designed and crafted with the finest workmanship, our array of rings and bracelets, pendants, and earrings will dazzle your lady and will give her the message very clearly how much you care about her. You care enough to give her the best. If you've never been to Russell Brothers, we invite you to join our many customers. See what a difference personal attention can make. Drive right up to our front door. Come on in and be a part of that 40th Christmas, and let us show you what value, quality, service, and selection can look like as you choose a piece for her that will make you the very best Santa ever. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Let me guess, you're going to recommend that everyone get their holiday meal from Central Barbecue.
No, although it's a great idea, get everybody some fantastic Central Barbecue and not have to do any of the work, but that is not what this spot is about.
It's not?
No, this is about another way Central Barbecue can save you time and trouble.
Ah, Central Barbecue gift cards.
That's right. You don't have to fight the holiday gift shoppers when you can just go online and order up a handful of Central Barbecue gift cards.
No one has ever turned up their nose to getting the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
In the world for free.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one in Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Memphis, your Grizzlies are currently the 2nd seed in the West, following a big win versus the defending NBA champions, extending your Grizzlies win streak to 3 games straight, making them one of the hottest teams in the league. Get in on all the live action this season by bringing your energy to FedEx Forum to Catch the next jaw-dropping moment live. Feeling lucky? Win 4 seats, free tickets, or unlock exclusive savings at HaymakerGrizzlies.com/spin-to-win.
It's the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Texas Tech Red Raiders in this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Plus, Monday will Hall of Famer Phoenix Cavaliers. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 9:30 is the time. Final half hour for us today here on this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy. Brian Dacus now takes over as our producer here with Elijah Seegers off to do that final exam. Brian, do you remember when you had your final exam and that was it for college?
Felt like ages ago. That was only a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope Brian remembers.
Yeah, no, it was stressful. I remember it being that.
Yeah, but when you got it done, man, you felt pretty
good. Absolutely.
Like the world's weight was lifted off your shoulders. So Elijah's off to do that. He'll graduate on Sunday. Again, Brian will be with us for the final half hour. Now it's time to talk some Memphis Tigers basketball with Parth Upadhyay.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is Parth Upadhyay, the Tigers beat reporter for the Daily Memphian. Now here's Parth with Greg and Eli.
He is the Memphis Tigers basketball beat writer for the Daily Memphian, Parth Upadhyay, who joins us each and every Wednesday to talk Tigers. And unfortunately for the Tigers, it was not good on Sunday. And, you know, people talk about that Maui hangover. Well, they did play a game right after the trip from Maui against Louisiana Tech, in which they did what they normally do this year, struggle in the first half and then play gangbusters in the second half and won that game. But this wasn't the case. 2 halves. Everybody kept waiting for them to make the run. They got it down to 8, and then every single time Arkansas State made a big shot, it just seemed like Arkansas State wanted it more.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was going to say that run did come, and it came multiple times in the second half where they got it down to 7 at one point. I think there was another big 3 where they got it down to 8 with whatever, 6:40 to go. And Greg, like you said, like people are expecting that next step to come, right? Like they've got it down to 8, and then here's where the Tigers really surge and take over the game and put this pesky Arkansas State team away. But, you know, this time they just got into too big of a hole and didn't have the gas in the tank required. You saw guys with their hands on their knees, rather, when they would get it to a certain point where it was manageable because they had kind of emptied the tank just to, you know, trim that deficit from double digits to 7, 6, whatever it was in that second half.
And it's, you know, give credit to Arkansas State because they've made some, but like they kept getting a lot of open looks. The Tigers gave them a lot of wide open looks, especially from 3-point range. And it seems like they would knock one of those down whenever they needed a big one to extend that lead. The Tigers, I've mentioned it, you know, they're very good at shooting the 3, but they've also been really bad at guarding the 3. How much of
that combination?
Yeah, it means a lot of 3-pointers going to be made in their games, I guess. How much of a concern do you think that should be, the struggle that they've had guarding the 3-point line? When you look at these teams coming up, there's some pretty good 3-point shooting teams in this next stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty huge. They're 302nd in 3-point defense. They're allowing teams to shoot 36.5% from 3, and it's not really been an anomaly, right? Like, we've seen this trend continue. Obviously, we saw it in Maui, even though they won 2 games against UConn and Michigan State. You know, UConn had a bunch of threes on that team.
Michigan State was a horrible 3-point shooting team, and yet they had a good game
had a decent 3-point shooting game. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Auburn, who obviously is better known for its inside presence and play in the paint, you know, had a pretty good shooting game as well. So we've seen teams kind of go off. The bad teams look decent. The decent teams look great, you know, when it comes to 3-point shooting. And Clemson, that's kind of how it plays, right? Like it jacks up a bunch of threes and it makes a ton as well. I believe the Clemson Tigers rather, are top 50 in 3-point percentage. So it is concerning when you're playing teams that are making their living from behind the 3-point arc coming up.
And the one in this stretch of 4 games, the worst team that they play, Virginia, is a really good three-point shooting team. So that, and if you're talking about the work, too, that's one thing that can equalize things in a hurry is a bunch of threes.
Too. Exactly. Exactly.
Parth, we talk about the improvement of this team, especially from last year, on defense. But allowing three-point shooting, three-point shooting defense is part of your overall defense.
Correct.
So what do the numbers say? Are they as good as we think they are defensively, or maybe not?
They were trending in that direction. They were never elite, according to Ken Pom and other advanced analytics site. They're 61st in adjusted defensive efficiency, which is not.
It is better than last year.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's better than last year, where they sat outside the top 100. But it's still not to where the discourse and discussion that we were having surrounding this team would suggest it should be. Right, like the optimism, the praise that we've given the Tigers for being elite defensively or having that potential does not match up with the numbers right now.
Okay, so what are they lacking? Is it communication? Is it they're not understanding what Penny and the staff want them to do defensively? Because we saw so many times on Sunday where three guys would attack one player and it would leave a couple of guys wide open. But I watched it on television. I didn't go to the game first time. I just wanted to watch it and listen to the analyst, and he talked about the communication issues. So what did Penny have to say about that, and how can they rectify that problem?
Yeah, I think communication's number one. If you go back and watch that game where guys would again overhelp and leave plenty of three-point shooters open, either that would happen or they would kind of lean too hard into the trap and be over-aggressive, and that would lead to either fast break points or wide open looks on the other end. So I think that's Penny talked about, and he said it before. It's not the first time he said it when he said it Sunday, but kind of guarding your yard. Like, guys, if everybody can guard their yard and communicate better and know where each other is at on the floor on the defensive end, then some of the egregious lapses that we've seen from the Tigers in the past two games just wouldn't happen.
Isn't it easier to guard your yard when you're guarding an area by playing a zone, which he doesn't play?
Doesn't play much of it all. Rarely goes to a zone. That is what a zone is, right? A zone, you're literally guarding your yard.
Right.
Memphis not only does not do that, but it also likes to trap and press and go to that early. And when you've got 8-9 guys in your rotation, you're pressing that button, so to speak, that pressure defense button early on in the first half. Your guys aren't going to have any gas in the tank to play offense.
Could cause fatigue, but could also cause stupid fouls and guys getting into foul trouble.
Correct. And I think, speaking of fatigue and just guys, I don't want to say looking disinterested, but perhaps just not having the oomph needed to complete a 40-minute game, especially when you're behind by double digits. I think this is the first time we saw that from Memphis, just them looking just out of energy.
Discombobulated
out of energy.
Well, the one thing, too, that this was a massive problem last year, and it continues to be a problem this year, is they give up a ton of offensive rebounds. Like that, and that part of it, I think, is guys getting lost defensively. They're not. Then the shot
they go
goes
hand
up,
in hand,
and there's nobody. There's not anybody for them around to block out. There's guys who have nobody around them, so they're able to go get rebounds. Last year, they were one of the worst teams in the country in giving up offensive rebounds. They're really bad at it again this year. This year, teams are shooting better against them and still getting the offensive rebounds. So that's bad. Like, it's one thing when they're missing a ton of shots and getting offensive rebounds. When they're not even missing that many shots and still getting the offensive rebounds, that's really bad.
Yeah, and I think the offensive rebounding issue, or the rebounding issue in general, is two things, right? One is the defensive lapses, leaving guys open. Guys are not only not guarding their yard, but they're not putting a body on anybody, quite frankly. So you see, 4 Tigers jerseys and one Arkansas State Red Wolves guy,
comes in.
Guard, usually, that grabs the rebound. So you're seeing a lot of that, but you're also seeing Memphis's lack of size kind of get exposed, right? They've got a 3-man front court. Memphis' tallest player is Musa Cisse at 6'11", but there's not another guy on that team that's taller than 6'9". That's Dane Danger at 6'9". So you're seeing kind of those two things come together and cause this issue, which seems to be getting worse instead of improving, right? Like, Memphis is sitting outside the top 100 right now in offensive rebounding percentage, and it's fine when you're struggling. It's not fine, but it's one thing when you're struggling against the likes of Auburn, right, who plays that way, is going to crash the glass, going to destroy you in the paint, destroy a lot of teams in the paint. But when Arkansas State is, getting what I think was 16 offensive rebounds and turning that into nearly 17 points. That's an issue.
Well, and Clemson with Shefflin and
their
Lakin,
size, yes.
like those two guys, Shefflin especially, like
they're relentless.
He tries to get every offensive rebound.
Yes,
Like, he
relentless.
wants. He is
He had 20
unbelievable.
boards against Kentucky.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable rebounder, and Lakin with his size is a really good rebounder. Like those two guys will kill you on the offensive glass.
And the other thing, it's fine when you're winning, but when you
Correct.
lose,
I mean, of course.
these problems obviously rise to the top, and they are very glaring. With what we saw on Sunday, do you believe that I know Penny took one for the team, and coaches often do when he said, I didn't have them ready. I don't believe that. I think the preparation for that game was the same as all the other previous games. I didn't like the body language from those players from the get-go.
No, and it looked not great against Louisiana Tech either. You didn't see that poor of body language that early on against La Tech, but you saw it certainly towards the end of the first half and into the second of that game on Wednesday, and that carried right in and over into Sunday against Arkansas State.
Yeah, I just gave him the benefit of the doubt in the La Tech game. That was one I broadcasted.
With
that
the Maui hangover?
was the Maui hangover,
Right.
and then we saw him come alive in the second half, win by, I think, 10. And so everything was fine and dandy. And then you turn around, and here's a team from Jonesboro that's looking at that absolutely as your Super Bowl. I know they use that cliche a lot.
But in this
there's
one in
truth.
particular, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that coach.
How far is Jonesboro? An hour and some change,
Hour
right?
and
I've never been,
change.
so I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but
an easy.
It's not far.
It's an easy drive.
Across the bridge.
Coach is from the Oats tree, you know, as far as shooting threes and playing defense and things of
They've
that
got
nature.
former high major guys who have transferred down, looking to prove themselves.
And
yeah,
they just gained
100%.
confidence with each passing minute of that game. They knew they could beat Memphis, and Memphis just never matched that intensity.
You've made your first trip to Vegas and your first trip to Hawaii this year. Really, you should check off Jonesboro. It's very similar. It's really,
In what ways?
The three first, like the cities people say to visit: Vegas, Hawaii, Maui, and then Jonesboro.
Jonesboro's probably third on that list.
It's
No?
third
Okay.
on the list
All right.
generally. So
It's an island. It's an island that has plenty of casinos.
it's
a combination of the
really,
two.
I'll add it to my list.
It's beautiful this time of year, especially. Well, the thing is this: if you're consistently going to play poor first halves and dig yourself a hole, eventually you're going to come up with one of those that you dig too big of a hole and you're just not
your
able
night.
to come out.
Shots aren't going
like
in.
when you
Yeah.
literally every single game they do the same thing. They're digging themselves a halftime first half hole. Like somebody's going to be able to put you away in the second half.
Yeah, if you're a Tigers fan, you would hope it wouldn't have been Arkansas State, and you would have hoped it wouldn't have been in this fashion where you lose by 13 at home, right?
Do you think, personally, you're with this team all the time,
Yep.
that was just a clunker, and every team, it seems like even Kansas got blown out by Missouri, every team has a clunker, that this is all it is, or is there, do you believe, some underlying issues? I'm not talking about teams squabbling and things of that nature,
No.
which we had last year. I'm just talking about on the court. Do you think it's that, or do you think it's just a one-off?
I think it's a little of both, and I'll explain. One-off meaning we're not going to see them play that disinterested, that disengaged.
Right. Yeah, they may
that
lose on
lethargic.
Saturday, but they're not playing with that.
We're not going to see the Tigers sleepwalk out there, but some of the issues are concerning and they're worth discussing. We talked about Memphis' lack of size. We talked about the inability to guard the three, inability to keep teams off the offensive glass. Those are all real issues that we've seen throughout the season, even in wins, like we discussed. But when you're losing games and you're losing games to, once again, not to harp on, and not that Arkansas State's a horrible team by any means, but it's certainly not an elite team, right? When you're losing to teams like that, that's when these things get brought up and highlighted even more.
You can't dwell over spilled milk, but how much do they miss a Tyreek Smith, even though they've won a bunch of games, that you don't have that other big that gets rebounds?
I mean, I think they miss him. Maybe greatly is an overstatement, but I'd use that word, greatly. Like, he was an 8-5 guy, but heck, that's an extra 8 points and 5 rebounds and another big body that's going to soak up some fouls, get some minutes. They don't have a fourth big body, right? And that's what they need, obviously.
What do you expect to happen Saturday?
Man, this is like perfect recipe for Memphis to come out and, shock the world, so to speak, right? These are the types of games that Penny Hardaway's teams get up for when they're going into this hostile road environment against a borderline top 15 team, coming off a letdown, feeling like they have their backs against the the wall. Penny said it on his radio show on Monday. He said, at Memphis we can't, and I don't know if this is true or not, if I agree with this or not, but he said it before and he said it again. Hey, at Memphis we can't lose even one of these games, or they're going to drop us 20 spots, is what Penny said.
There's truth to that.
There's some truth to that, but pretty
much anybody that loses to Arkansas State at home
is going to get dropped. Yeah, you're going to.
But I think wasn't that his point that, especially when you get in a conference play, that every loss is magnified because of the bad nets that those teams have that they're playing.
It's because those teams aren't good, though, and Memphis shouldn't be losing to them, right?
Okay,
is that fair to say?
Maybe I misunderstood him. And
he's acting like it was a Memphis thing only, like this applied only.
Oh, no, he's wrong about that. If that was the case, no, it's because of who they're going to be playing.
My point being that I think Penny is really good at, in these spots, getting the absolute most out of his team. Selling them on the, hey, us against the world, Memphis against everybody.
Right.
They don't like us. They don't respect us. Narrative, if you will. And his players typically buy into that.
Oh, he's good. He's good at that. I would be.
So in this spot, I'd expect Memphis to come out and look closer to the team that we saw in Hawaii than we've seen them be in the past 10 days.
Yeah,
certainly.
I think you're right about that. It doesn't mean it'll happen, but I think you're right about that. But that's an issue too when you're not getting up for the mediocre teams or the bad teams. You got to be able to get up for all of them. So that's something that's more on the coaches as far as starting games slow nearly every single game. The whole thing about taking the blame for their performance, once they get adjusted in the game, they can't have the bad body language. And the last 4 minutes of that game was a joke. They weren't even competing. And Arkansas State, you got the coach turning around and screaming, "Where are you all going?
Where are you going? Where are you going?"
Yeah. You can't have that happen in your crib, man. Right? You can't have that happen.
No, sir.
But this is an important stretch. 4 games to wrap up December, non-conference, 2 at home with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's first. And then Clemson and Virginia.
Correct.
What do you think is possible? What do you think is probable as far as the results of these 4?
I'd say, man, it's like you don't know what Memphis Tigers team you're going to get, right? If you get the one that appeared in Maui, 3-1, shoot, even 4-0 is possible, right? If you get the Maui club back.
I guess it's possible,
if we
right?
can get that team back to,
These are 3 high net teams you're playing out of the 4.
No, absolutely. There are 3 teams in the top 30, I believe, still, unless that's changed overnight.
And the other one's on their home court that shoot
So it's
threes.
a quad 2, right? So you got 3 quad 1s, 1 quad 2, all huge opportunities. But I think even with their recent struggles, Memphis' recent struggles, I think 2-2 is very possible, right? Like you go.
You better go 2-2.
Oh yeah, that's like at this point. That's
if you want a good seed
for a good seed,
assuming
correct.
You're going to. And it's hard to assume after last year, but assuming that they're going to take care of business, lose 1 or 2 that they shouldn't, but probably 3-4 losses at most.
4 is even a lot, is it not?
It's a lot, but
look at
in this conference, yes,
it is. But if you go 3-1 and then lose 4 in the conference, you're in really good shape.
Then you're in good shape.
You go 2-2, you lose 4. I don't know where they'd be seated.
Maybe looking at like a 9-ish neighborhood.
So you're putting more pressure on yourselves. But it won't be easy. But I think, that's what I said. I think earlier this week, 1-1 in the home games, 1-1 on the road. But you hope it's Clemson. But then the Virginia
the flip
would
side
be
of that.
Yeah, would be a bad
Quote,
loss.
unquote. Well, maybe
to some degree.
To some degree, not as bad of a loss as Arkansas State, just because it is on the road, and it's Virginia, it's a brand, and it'd be a quad 2 loss. It wouldn't even be a quad 3, so it's not something that's going to completely tear apart your resume there.
Have you been to Clemson before?
I have not, and
okay.
I went
to
North Carolina, covered the team as a student journalist, the Tar Heels, and had never made that trip to Little John. So I'm very, very excited for that.
All right, have a safe travel down there. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Parth.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Folks, the holiday season is here, and you're doing that Christmas shopping. You're thinking jewelry. Go see the folks at Genesis Diamonds right now. Take advantage of 5 years, 0 interest financing for the holidays. That's right, 5 years, 0 interest financing on everything you can find there at Genesis Diamonds. Great chance for you to pick out a perfect gift for that special someone. You're always going to get great value to begin with the great pricing at Genesis Diamonds, and now you can get 5 years, 0 interest financing as well. Genesis Diamonds, Poplar at Perkins Extended.
All right, one final segment to go before we call it a day. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, happy hour for $3 $1 off all draft meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and pretzels, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and more. Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dining and lunch grill Wednesday, 5 a.m. Free on lunch comes to more every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70, fall is football.
Indulge yourself or your loved ones this season with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin. Here, you can shop our expansive selection of designer brands, one-of-a-kind jewelry, and spectacular statement pieces, all while enjoying the Sissy's promise of unmatched quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Stop by any location or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com to find your trusted jeweler for holiday memories that will last a lifetime. Make a statement this season only at Sissy's Log Cabin.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. Big thanks to Parthu Pajai for joining us in studio. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to gauge what they have to do to get a top 5 seed. We know that in conference, UAB was picked preseason, but they are off to a horrible start. There's not a lot of quality games in there, but they would be devastating losses. But you can't expect a team, I don't care whatever team it is around the country, to just roll through a conference and go undefeated. You got 18 games in conference. You're going to lose a few games. But if you limit it, lose 3 games, 4 games, I think at the most. But to be a top 5 seed, you lose 4 in that conference, that's going to really hurt you, especially if you go 2-2 in the next 4. If you can go 3-1 in the next 4, though, and then lose 2 in the conference, win the conference championship, I think you're going to have a really good seed, really high seed.
There are currently 4 teams in the conference, counting Memphis, that are in the top 100 of the net.
Who are they? Wichita State's 1, right?
North Texas is 66, Wichita State's 78, Florida Atlantic's 88. And Florida Atlantic just moved to the top 100 last night with their win. They beat somebody bad, but it bumped them into the top 100. Then you go all the way down to Rice at 138 is the next one.
And where has UAB fallen? They're in the 200s, aren't they?
Yeah, UAB's 219. Whoa. So, I mean, it's, again, and who knows, like there's a good chance those will drop further, and you may end up with, who knows, there may not be any other top 100 teams by the end of the season in that conference. Who knows?
But one thing UAB does have is a stud big man. And while I thought they did a good job, the Tigers did against the big man for Louisiana Tech, this guy for UAB could be an NBA player. What's his name? Lindenberg?
Yeah, Yaxel Lindenborg.
Yeah, Lindenborg. That guy's tough. So, but, they'll cross that bridge when it comes. But
Clemson's got bigs.
I don't expect them to beat Clemson. I had them losing to Clemson before the season started. I will be smiling from ear to ear and happy for the Tiger fan base if they can go to Clemson and win that game. I mean, Clemson, believe me, they got revenge on their mind from last year. I know P.J. Hall is gone. Quality player. But they got some really good players still there. That coach is tough. That was a great win for Memphis last year. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to anything, ultimately. But I think this is going to be a big challenge. See, the question for me is, even if they lose a tight one and show a good battle against Clemson, show their true colors that we've seen and we saw at Maui, then beat Virginia on the road, come back, it won't be easy, and beat Ole Miss and Mississippi State, you're feeling really, really good. Really good about yourself.
East Coast Wings and Grill this Saturday is their ugly Christmas sweater party, which is always a good time. They've got DJ, of course, obviously plenty of food and drinks, all that good stuff. They're going to have prizes for the ugliest, I guess, or best ugly sweater. I don't know how you define that. The best ugly sweater or just ugliest sweater?
The ugliest sweater.
Ugliest sweater.
Just to say ugliest?
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, they'll have prizes for that. Always a great time. They do it every single year. That's coming up this Saturday over at East Coast Wings and Grill. Of course, we're entering bowl season, basketball season, all the games always on the many TVs over there while you can enjoy some of their great wings with 60 different flavors to choose from. There's always some flavor, sure. If you like wings, you're going to find a flavor that you like over at East Coast Wings and Grill. 7 different heat indexes available as well. Of course, plenty of draft beer, 24 beers on tap, plus any other beers and other drinks that you need. They've got you taken care of over at East Coast Wings and Grill. Located in Bartlett, just off Highway 64, right between Lowe's and Walmart there off Highway 64. Kate Hyde Boulevard runs right between the two, and that's where you'll find East Coast Wings and Grill. According to On3, Ohio State Representative Josh Williams has introduced the OHIO Sportsmanship Act.
I love it.
It would make it a felony offense.
A felony.
To plant a flag in the center of Ohio Stadium.
That's great.
You can stab somebody with a flag and it's not a felony. No, it's now planted into the ground.
Hey, that's
kidding.
playing to your
Sure
constituents right there. Every state might as well. I'm sure some politician in every state will be introducing something like this.
One final note: Northern Illinois weighing an offer to leave the MAC, join the Mountain West Conference, but as a football playing only program. We want to thank Jerry Palm, DeMichael Cole, Parthu Pajai for joining us today. Tomorrow, Steve Macy on the Showboats at 7:45. We'll talk with Tigers coach Ryan Silverfield at 8:05. We'll talk some college basketball and Major League Baseball with Kerry Miller at 8:25. And then from 9 to 10, it's the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour with Harold Grader. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next for Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers, and Brian Dacus. I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or